Black Alpha Network. Power to the people.
There's been a few phases of this reparations struggle, and I tell people this all the time. We are not in the beginning of the reparations claim. We are in the middle of it. Right now, this is the middle of the reparations claim that we're putting out. And the more we change and the more we evolve, the dominant society is always going to the table, and they're trying to evolve their opposition. So we've seen the tethers try to get involved. We've seen the fleers try to get involved. We've seen them talk about flat blackness. We've seen fake politicians come around and say that they're running on reparations campaigns, but they're really not. They're really running interference. So we got to update where we're headed. We got to start having real conversations and dialogue where we can work in conjunction with each other and strategize to get around every single thing, because it's going to take a collective. Reparations is cool when we have these conversations here, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to take it to the next level. We're going to have to step it up, because the more we come with it, the more other individuals are going to try to stop us. That's just what it is. You have a different era in Black American history all the time. You had slavery, you had Reconstruction. Following that, you had the Civil Rights era, and this can be, the reparations era. You can call it the grassroots era, whatever. But we understand that reparations is the main goal, and that's what we're all trying to fight for. That's what we all trying to get, and it ain't gonna be easy. I always tell people this: if you take anti-blackness and then you amplify that with $1 trillion reparations claim, they're gonna bring everybody out. They're gonna bring everybody out. Everybody's gonna come and try to stop us. It will not stop. It's gonna get real. It's gonna get very, very real, realer than what it already is. But we just gonna have to get right along with it and do our thing. But I got my brother Sir on the stage, man. We're gonna keep this thing going full speed. Go ahead, brother. You can hop on. How you feel, family? Go ahead, brother Sir. You gonna pop up? You gonna unmute yourself, fam?
Hear me?
Yeah, I got you real good, bro. How you doing?
Peace to the family. Appreciate you having me on. I just wanted to add, while you're putting in what we need to do, is that eventually we're going to have to go for, and probably in conjunction with the cash reparations that we need, we're going to have to go in conjunction with that. Some sort of autonomous state like the American Indians have, because if we're trying to do something, well, actually we're probably going to have to eventually break off and be, like I say, in sort of an autonomous state, because if we're going to try and continue to exist within a system that's already kept us at the bottom caste, the money will be with us, and then it'll be right away from us. So we're going to have to start thinking in terms of autonomy. That's basically all I got. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but we have never been truly integrated into this economy except as a bottom caste. And so what we're going to have to do is something unique and special for us. And that's probably going to be, like I said, the way that the Indians have it, which is, our autonomy and our own special places that we control, that we control the tone and the tenor of what happens with us.
Hey, brother, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a real good point, brother. I hear a lot of feedback. We got a hot mic. That's a good point, brother. A lot of people don't understand. Huey P. Newton spoke about that in the 1970s. He spoke about that in the 1970s. And that's what comes along with reparations. And we're able to do that once we attain the money and we attain the land and what we get with our money, then we'll be able to get that autonomy to where we can function in an environment that is solely for us. Every study has proven that foundational Black Americans operate better when we're in our own schools, when we got our own healthcare system, our own police, and this is what reparations can get us. So I actually agree with that, brother. And I'm also with you where you say that's another step of it. And it all kind of comes in a collective. And that's one of the things everybody knows. Well, once reparations is attained, then the next step's going to come in. And that's really what they're afraid of. I always say they're not afraid of, 50 million foundational Black Americans getting reparations. They're really afraid of 10 million of us getting it, because they understand that all it's going to take is that 10 million for us to flip everything. And that's what they're really genuinely afraid of. And that's why at this era and this generation where we are today, we're strategizing it. They thought that we wouldn't have our game so good. They didn't think that we would be able to understand it. They didn't think we'd be able to articulate our reparations claim. And once they found out how intelligent we were and how we can break this down to the T, That's when they started running the interference even higher and higher than what it was. See, how you speak of autonomy, brother, they didn't think that we would even think that deep. They thought that we would just come out here, say reparations, get tired and go home. And then they found out that we're not really on that. We're actually deeper than that. We can name everybody who's got reparations. We can point to everybody else's reparations policies and the way that reparations has benefited them. And then we can implement that in our own fashion, politically and socially. That made them terrified. That's why they're up in the ante so much. But in terms of autonomy, I agree. Like I said before, Huey P. Newton spoke about that in the 1960s and 70s. He spoke about that. A lot of people really gloss over that point. And he spoke about how once we get reparations, we'll be able to build our own communities. Once we build our own communities, we can function. We really already had that. Shout out to my brother Torian Raines. If you check out his massacre series, a lot of times these massacres were foundational Black American created places where they would come in and they would try to pulverize them based upon we was getting our own stuff. So that's a very, very solid point. And I believe that once we attain reparations, if we start building and working to that, we can get to that level. It's a very, very attainable level. And everything that we do is very, very attainable because we've proven that once we put our mind to something and we focus on something, the sky ain't even the limit. We can do it all. And that's why we have to continue to fight for this. We got to continue to go. And I want everybody to know, all the brothers and sisters, we have to understand that reparations is cool to hashtag it. It's cool to speak about it. But we getting into the real heavy days now. Now we really are starting to get into it. We're not in the middle of it no more. Shit gets real when you get to about 5 to 10 years into a generation. Shit get real when you get to about 5 to 10 years into a policy or a movement. It's cool in the beginning, but once you get into the middle of it, that's when you got to up the ante. I had a conversation with a brother the other day, and we spoke about how every time we come with some game, the dominant society goes back to the drawing board, and then they get more desperate. And this is why we're seeing right now, they're very desperate. Very, very desperate, and they're going to run every single form of opposition and interference on us. So therefore, we're going to have to stay completely on game. We're going to have to stay completely focused because it does not stop right here. It's building and building and building. What I want everybody to know that there's going to be a lot of folks right here on Twitter, and they're going to try to overcomplicate reparations. But our main thing, we have to keep it simple and we have to keep it plain. We cannot deviate from what we're saying. That's why I like your statement, brother. It's very to the point, very understandable. You got a lot of folks out here, they throw around a bunch of numbers. That's to confuse us. You got a lot of folks who come around here, they throw around a bunch of policies. That's also to confuse us. What we have to do in terms of our reparations, we all have to have a clear understanding, and we got to work with each other nationally or locally, because you're going to have local reparations and then you're going to have the national reparations. Some people are for each and other. Me personally, I'm more for national reparations, because if you start focusing on local reparations, they can remix that and they can spin it around and they can give us whatever they want. And that's another key. And I want to point this out to the brothers and sisters today. I want everybody to understand that they have a plan for our reparations and trying to prevent it. First thing they want to do is not give us reparations. We all understand that. Second, they want to give us reparations, but they want to give us the most watered down, diluted version of it. Dr. Claus speaks about this all the time. And if you look at any policy that has ever came to foundational Black Americans, it has always been a policy of being diluted. Affirmative action, all the civil rights policies, they always start off as something for us, and then they always end up going to someone else. That's what they want to do with our reparations claim. So this is why you see so many immigrants coming into this country, because the immigrants are the people that they truly want to give our reparations money to. And everybody understands that. I always tell people, you can't be pro reparations and pro immigration at the same time. It doesn't exist, because they want to give the immigrants our reparations money. And this is why you hear things like immigrants built America. You really didn't hear that get amplified until we started making a reparations claim. Once we started speaking about reparations, all of a sudden now they start speaking about immigrants. So the more we speak about our money and our reparations, the more they're going to start bringing in the immigrants, because that's the main plan. They want to give us reparations, but they want to give it to the immigrants with our name on it. See, the dominant society, they understand how to play with the headlines. They understand how to put black, 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 black on the headline. But when you read the details, you read the fine print, you start seeing every other group out there. It's the same thing. They want to affirmative action our reparations claim. They want a civil rights policy, our reparations claim. Don't be surprised if they try to pass some form of reparations, and then we look back on it 20, 30 years from now, and you find out none of the goddamn money went to us. It went to everybody else. And that's in conjunction with the Democrats, and that's in conjunction with the Republicans, and that's in conjunction with the immigrants. They all want to work together in a cohesive way to stop us from getting to the bag and stop us from getting to the money. So we got to be aware of all of the interference that's coming out here with reparations, because it's not going to stop. It's only going to amplify, and it's only going to get real. If anybody thinks that they're going to give us reparations without the dominant society putting it all on the line, it ain't happening. They'd rather sink the goddamn ship than to give us money, because they understand we flipped the United States of America. We flipped this country with nothing. What we gonna do with reparations money? We're gonna flip that a million times. Like I said, they're not worried about 50 million of us getting money. They worried about 5 million, because they understand all it's gonna take is 5 million of us to get to the bag, and then this whole game is gonna change. We're gonna change the economic system overnight. So we got to be very cautious of some of these people. One of my other mottos is we got to be careful on these politicians who come around and claim that they're running on a campaign of reparations. Really, they're running interference on our reparations. And I always use the metaphor and the example that reparations is very much like a designated driver. They've got to be very careful who you give your keys to, because if you got some politician who runs around, and we've seen them on Twitter, we've seen these politicians pop up on Twitter, these white politicians, these Hispanic politicians, and they say that they're down with the blacks, and they running on a campaign of reparations for the blacks. And next thing you know, you give them your keys, and now you're subjected to wherever they take you. And that's what we have to watch for. That's what we got to be very careful for, because these people are not going to come in and give us our reparations. They just want control of our reparations. So we're going to have to really start getting our own politicians in place who have been vetted by the black grassroots. And I'm not talking about vetted on Twitter neither. I'm talking about vetted where the cameras ain't rolling, where it's us side to side with these people. We're going to have to really start creating our own reparations task force. We're going to have to get our own black grassroots councils where we control the reparations conversation. Anything other than that, I'm telling the whole family, reparations are going to go to everybody except for foundational black Americans. One of the things that happens when you look at other communities get policies made for themselves. But the reason why they get policies made for themselves is because they have people in positions of power to give it to them. If we continue to have to go to the Democratic Party to get reparations, trust and believe we're going to get Democratic reparations. And y'all know what that look like. Trust me, it ain't got F, it ain't got B, and it ain't got A on it. All right. It's got Julio and Sanchez and Muhammad written all over it. And we got to go to these task force. You understand what's going to end up happening. They're going to end up giving our money to everyone else. So the main thing that we have to do is we got to really start taking control of the reparations movement. And it's not just going to a task force where they allow us to speak for 2 minutes and then they cut us off. At the end of the day, that's still them dominating. We got to be the influencers with it. We got to take the reparations movement, not just from a street protest. We got to start taking it to the boardroom. We got to get in these back channels and have these conversations to where we can really, really build, because this is the dance. This right here, this is what it's all about. If we do not get our reparations claim done correctly, then everything is going to go down the drain, because the dominant society is going to say, well, we gave y'all reparations. Yep. Racism's over. They told us racism was over when Barack Obama got elected. They told us racism was over when Bill Clinton got elected. They told us racism was over when Joe Biden got elected 3 years ago. So you know damn well if they give us reparations, they're going to run the whole racism is over. We gave y'all reparations. But in the fine print, it's going to say the reparations went to everybody except for foundational black Americans. So as I say right now, it's got to be reparations down. Don't let nobody tell you that we behind the 8 ball neither. Don't let nobody tell you that we need to mind our own state. Don't let nobody tell you none of that stuff. We need to really work together when it comes to reparations. And we got it all in us, because the only change that we're going to see get done is going to be the change that we put forth. And the change that we see get accomplished is going to be the change that we put forth, and everything's going to revolve around us. So we have to really reset the reparations conversation. We got to bring in all this good, positive, strong energy, and we got to make sure that brothers and sisters throughout all 50 states are aware. Brothers and sisters across all 50 states are focused, and everybody's working in conjunction to do it, because it's going to be a collective effort to make sure that the money stays on our side and not anybody else's side. I don't know if you're still locked in, brother, sir, but I want to ask you where you live at, fam.
I'm in Nevada, and I'm in California, and so you know it's not you're not going to find the kind of community that you have the potential for building like is in the South. I was my parents are from my parents, and my family mostly is from South Carolina. So I know about the region. I've been through there and whatnot, but I moved out here. I moved out west back in the early 2000s. But to the extent that there is any kind of Black community, FBA community that is developing out here, a lot of it is. A lot of it is it's scattered, and so it's going to take most of it's going to come. Most of the grassroots action is going to happen on the East Coast, and then there's going to be there's going to be the kind of thing that you see with what's happening with Brother Tariq and everybody else, and Dwan B, and that kind of thing is going to coalesce eventually. But right now most of the fight and most of the power is coming from where you are.
How do you feel about the opposition out there on the West Coast? Because I see a lot of opposition out there. I see them putting all different types of people because of the population and the demographics out there completely opposite. How do you see outside? And this one I'm talking about, I always try to speak to the brothers and sisters no matter where they are, so we can all understand that what goes on in one state, the dominant society is going to try to use on the other state. How do you feel about the opposition that you're seeing out there in terms of our reparations from the minorities and the people of colors and all those other groups? You feel they're running interference?
Oh, let me just tell you right now, it is hostile. I have back at the start of the pandemic, I had my mom make face mask, and I printed out some T-shirts just simply saying reparations. And I have a small little service business. I won't say exactly what it is, but I'm out and about in the public, and I do a lot of business in retail areas with a lot of white businesses. And I'm not trying to draw attention or anything, but during my downtime of not directly dealing with them, I'll just wear the T-shirt out and about in the neighborhood. I've had the most evil looks. I've had people come up and start conversations with me, hostile conversations, which I respond to with this is where it's going, and I don't remember caring about whether you wanted it or not. That's basically my response to it. But no, there's no support for it at all, really. I've even had a handful of Black people in the LA entertainment community. I had a conversation about this with some people like that in restaurants, off and on, and I've seen even resistance from them because they think of themselves as Democrat first and not FBA. I haven't seen. I'm only in the last year or so have I started to see people is starting to finally sink in that what we've been doing has finally started to hit their consciousness in a way that that seems to be them getting on code. But for a lot of years, starting even before 2020, there was a lot of hostility towards it. But like I say, people are finally starting to come around to it. At least FBA is. But everybody else, they're like, they're not with it. They're not with it at all.
Brother, didn't you stay out in South Florida? Didn't you? You stayed out South Florida.
No, I lived in Miami. I lived in Miami in the 80s and 90s. And I was watching the People of Color Coalition, Noalition, as you say, flood the country. And so I'm familiar with that kind of I'm familiar with what you're seeing now as far as all skin folk and kinfolk. I'm very familiar with it. And South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, for sure. Yeah.
So you've seen that Black and Brown Coalition, Leeches of Color movement come in, and how they too friendly to foundational Black Americans.
Oh, I've had stories. I have stories about that I could just go on forever and ever. I mean, I've approached plainly Black Cuban people who are 3-4 shades darker than me, say I'm not Black, I'm Spanish, or I'm not Black. Same thing with Jamaicans, same thing with Bahamians, same thing with Haitians. And I grew up watching that, and watching the FBA community in South Florida shrink, just basically evaporate. I mean, it's not like it was. It's definitely not like it was back in the in the 80s. They ran them out of Dade County first, and then they ran them out of Broward. They're basically running them out of Broward County by now. And if there's any kind of FBA population that's noticeable, most of it's in Central and North Florida now. So yeah, no, it's a different world. It's definitely a different world. And as far as FBA people on the West Coast, yeah, no, it's it's a tighter community than it was in South Florida, but it's still just amazingly small. It's not the kind of community that I had noticed when I was growing up, and seeing the kind of neighborhoods that were the 90s. The 90s Compton doesn't exist anymore. I'm sure Dwan B will corroborate that. We're in a state where we might be trying to this era where we're coming together and getting on code might be the stabilization. We're not going to just disappear entirely, but we really need to, like, as you always say, stay on code and be about what we're about, because otherwise, yeah, we could find ourselves very extinct very quickly. And so that's my experience.
Brother, I'm glad you said that. Because this is what I tell people all the time. What separates this generation in this era from all the other eras is the erasure. The erasure is real. You know what I'm saying? As you give the example down there in South Florida, the same going on out there in the West Coast, and they try to implement a lot of that down here. They try to implement a lot of that down here in the Deep South. This is why you have the Stacey Abrams, you have the Raphael Warnocks. They try to bring in these all life matter policies to the South. This is why in this era right here, we have to understand it from a categorical level. And we all got to understand that reparations and this erasure are coming in at the same exact time. As we push upon our reparations claim, they trying to push us out. And that's what separates us before. We're not out here fighting for civil rights. We ain't out here trying to drink out the same water faucet or swim in the same pool as white folks. We out here right now trying to get to the bag, and that's different. You want to go swim in a pool? Okay, they'll resist you a little bit. You want to go drink out the same water faucet? Yeah, okay, they'll resist that shit a little bit. You want $1 trillion reparations claim? Oh, you gonna get resisted, and it's gonna take some real certified brothers and sisters to stand 10 toes down, loyal to the soil, to make sure that we do not get pushed out. So we are in for the real serious fight. Not saying the other ones of the past weren't serious, because without them we wouldn't be here. But trust and believe, the ante has been up, and we're gonna have to perform at the highest level to make sure that everything goes down. Everybody knows when you listen to the Black Alpha Network, I'm always centering everything in our excellence, because it's going to take us to be excellent. It's going to take us to be proud. It's going to take us to know who we are, where we're going, to handle all of the opposition. And another problem that we had from back in the days is this country, until really the 1980s, was basically black and white. It was black and white like I Love Lucy. Okay, it was an old TV. It was black and white. This era right now, you have so many different people come in, and they used to speak about the melting pot. Oh, America's a melting pot. The melting pot has never served foundational Black Americans, because every person in that melting pot has anti-foundational Black American hatred. So the melting pot has only made things more difficult. So when you look back in the past, in the 60s and the 70s and the 30s and the 40s, that was white and black, back and forth. Well, now the dominant society has literally billions of new recruits who are all anti-us. And instead of these people coming over here to this country and standing next to us, they went over here and they stood next to the dominant society. So we have basically FBA versus the world. And we have FBA versus the world internally and externally. So therefore, we got people domestically who got problems with foundational Black Americans. And then we have people foreign who have problems with foundational Black Americans. And the only way for us to handle that is to be on code. And the only way for us to handle that is to stay certified. I got another speaker on stage, and anybody want to come on up, because I made this space because I want to make sure everybody knows that this reparations movement is in full swing. It's in full effect, and we will get our money by any means necessary. Salute to Brother Malcolm. And it doesn't matter what they throw at us. It doesn't matter what anybody here on Twitter says, any of these little spaces that tell us we need to get it together and work harder and we behind the 8 ball. No, we on the right page. We just got to continue to put out the same energy, and we're going to continue to do that. But the next speaker, I cannot see what your name is. It's random. Go ahead. It's all on you.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I got you real good, brother.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for holding this space. I see you hold these spaces a lot, and I try to be one of those people that put solutions out there. I make videos and all kinds of stuff, but I'm constantly being shadow banned and stuff, so I don't get a lot of traction. But with these spaces, all of us can come up and give our own solutions, talk about it, and come to a consensus. So one thing that I try to get across to people is it all goes back to the money. We're demanding something from a group of people that doesn't want to give it to us, and we're appealing or begging. Basically, it boils down to we're begging the people that they've put in place to kind of keep everybody kind of divided and placated. So we're going out to these politicians, we're going out to these councilmen, to these mayors, and we're asking, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Their job, the reason those people exist is because they've been put in place to kind of placate everybody. So they're never going to give us what we ask for, because their job is to just waste our time and push out the goalpost and push out the goalpost. That's their job. The wealthy people hire them. Wealthy white men and women hire these people, and they put them in these positions just for that purpose. And the only way that we're going to get anybody's attention is we have to give a consequence when our demands are ignored. So when we're demanding these reparations and people are ignoring us, setting up these phony task forces that are just set up to distract us, because as you see, Gavin Newsom came back out and immediately said, "Oh, I'm not interested in doing reparations. I don't think I'm going to do that," because that task force was a waste of time. It was just there to waste our time. So if we want to punish these people who are putting all these things in place, we have to pull our money collectively. Not all of us are going to get on board, but if enough of us talk about it, come up with solutions on ways to pull money from these big white businesses, after a while, the wealthy people that are hiring these politicians, that are bribing these politicians, that are creating all of these, that have all these, what are those things that they call these I can't even think of the word right now, but these people that come up with these think tanks that are putting all these policies together to kind of to keep us from getting what we want. All these business owners that pay these news organizations that won't air the stuff that we're asking for, that kind of ignore the things that we're asking for, but will bring up and put on black saboteurs who tell us, oh, well, we don't need reparations, and air that information, air that message. All of those people are getting paid by somebody wealthy, and those wealthy people are getting the money from us. And if we're not going to pull our money, and we're not going to do anything else because we can't fight back physically, because we would lose. If we're not going to do anything, if we don't give them a consequence for the stuff that they're doing to us or for the things that they're denying us, they'll keep denying it until we are wiped out, until we're gone. Why would they change? What reason would they have for changing if we're not going to give them a consequence? If you don't give a bully a consequence, they're not going to stop bullying you. They know you can't fight back, so they're going to keep doing it. Punishment or consequence, which we're not doing. We just keep saying we want this, we want that. We'll march, we'll vote, we'll withhold our vote. And none of that matters to them, because this system, all these systems that they've put in place have been put in place to keep us in the hole that we're in. So just telling them that we're not going to engage in the political game that they put in place, they sit back and laugh and say, okay, that's fine. We'll bring in Hispanics and South Americans. They'll replace your vote, and we will purge you guys out and get rid of you, because we didn't want you here from the beginning after we were done with you. So you guys can keep begging and complaining when we don't give in to your demands, and then until we decide to get rid of you guys. And that's what's happening now. So I try to get that message out there. I'm kind of all over the place right now, but I try to get that message out there to people that if you want some real change, we have to band together and pull our money like they did in the 50s. That's why the Civil Rights Bill was passed. They started pulling their money and boycotting. Once you start to boycott, the men and women that own and bribe these politicians and these government figures, then they go to those politicians and say, look, these black people have stopped transferring their wealth to us. They're holding on to their wealth. We don't want that. So we have to do something to appease these people. We got to do something to get them shopping again. That's the only time we'll get their attention. Right now, they're not listening to us. The buffers that they've put in place, the politicians and the governors, the mayors, all that stuff that they put in place, those buffers are just taking all that from us. And the wealthy people, who are the ones that are going to be cutting the checks, they're not hearing our protests and our complaints and our rallies. So we're just wasting our time. Nothing will work unless we pull our money.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. And you made a lot of good points. I just broke down on my podcast last week. I spoke about how that reparations task force and Gavin Newsom, at the end of it, he just said no. He just said no at the end of the day. But this is what happens when you got to consistently go to the Democrats and you got to go to these people of power and you're getting 2 minutes to speak. It's going to take, like you said, brother, it's going to take things outside of the political world and things outside of the social world. I tell black folks all the time that we can't look at other people as success because we're different than them. Our success is going to come in a different light. Our success is going to come with a different path. And that is one of them. I do agree with you, brother, is to take the money out the system, to boycott, a real boycott. Not no goddamn, we going to not buy McDonald's for 2 days and no shit like that. We gotta, yeah, you know what I mean? You know, that type of stuff is a joke, man. That's a joke. That's, to me, that is the equivalent of going to twerk for justice after a black person gets harmed by a race soldier.
Yes.
It has to be a collective effort. Hey, where do you live, brother?
I live in Georgia.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm in Georgia too, brother. So you know what's going on out here in terms of the All Lives Matter policies and the Stacey Abrams and the Raphael Warnocks and all that type of stuff and how they try to implement those type of policies here. I know exactly what it means.
I don't even pay attention to that stuff. Stacey Abrams, she got, that was all a joke. Stacey Abrams was in debt at one point, I think, right when she announced her bid in 2018. And then a couple of years later, she was worth $3 million. And people don't seem to put one and two together. Where do you think these people are getting their money from? Where do you think the politicians that run? I ask people all the time, if you wanted to run for office right now, whatever office, where would you go to get television commercials made? Where would you go to get access to radio shows like Breakfast Club so you can have your message spread? Where would you go to be invited onto these news networks? How would you pay for all that stuff? Who would you talk to? That stuff isn't just something that some grassroots person comes up with. Somebody is setting this up for them, funding it, and then presenting this people out to the general population and saying, well, this is a politician that you're going to vote for. If you vote for them, you'll get some change. But you're not going to get any change because the person that presented them to you are the people that don't want to give you the reparations or the justice from police or any of that stuff anyway. So you literally just wasting your time and running in circles. You have to, it all boils down to you have to punish the people, and the only thing that will hurt them that we can do, because obviously the war would actually hurt them, but we would lose that badly. The only weapon we have is taking away our cash. We can't bribe anybody to do what we want. We can't go in and buy a politician and say, I want you to push this bill that we wrote. We don't have the money collectively, and collectively we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't be able to do that. We're all over the place, unfortunately. But if enough people talk about it and just say, look, all of us pull our money and everybody gets on board with that concept to pull, and I don't mean just don't ever spend money. That's not a reality. I mean, like, change how you shop. Don't go into these big chain stores like McDonald's or Walmart or Macy's, Stop and Shop, Kroger, Aldi, or whatever, these big stores. You have to change how you shop. Take your money from those big chains, because all of these people that own and find place, all of them have hands in all of these big businesses. They have their hands in each of these pots. You start taking money from all of those big pots, people up at the top are going to start realizing we're losing our money. We got to find out, where is this money coming? I mean, where's this loss of revenue coming from, and how do we get the revenue to come back? Once we get the attention of those people, that's when we have to start talking. And I don't know if the reparations they'll give us reparations, but at that point, we will start to get traction. You'll start to hear our stuff on the news. People like Tariq, maybe even Jason Black or Professor Truth will be brought onto the news at that point. Then they'll start listening to us. If we don't do that, we're just running in circles and we're wasting our time.
That's a good point, brother. Everything in this country, when it comes to foundational Black Americans, is about pressure. Everything that we've ever achieved has been about pressure. We go nowhere without putting pressure on the system. If we don't put pressure on the system, nothing happens. And we all know, everybody in this space knows, anybody who's on code and anybody in the Black grassroots, the one thing that the dominant society fears the most is loss of finance. You have to threaten them with the loss of finance. That's why boycotting is good. For me personally, I believe that brothers and sisters should actually sit down, communicate, correspond with each other, find out the actual individual areas and the businesses that are inflicting this anti-blackness upon us, and then pick directly. It ain't got to be a boycott of a million different people on one day. Pick. You got 3-4 months. We're personally going to take our money out of that. We're personally going to take our money out of that. Hit them one by one with your boycotts. Don't do a boycott where it's just a billion different companies at one time, because they're not going to see the loss of finance in that area. Now, if we all collectively say for 3, 4, 5 months or for 12 months, a whole year, we're going to take our money out of that individual is going to be hurt. That's how you put pressure on it. So basically what I'm saying is it's got to be a strategic, very precise and focused boycott. And you focus on them by doing them 1, 2, 3 at a time, not 1, 2, 300 at a time. That type of way you can take the money out of the system, and you can do it in a strategic way. That's the way you got to do it. And you got to take the money out. And by taking the money out, the money comes back into us. So I agree with those points, brother. That's a damn good point. And everything that we do in this reparations claim, we got to up the ante. I don't know if you came in the beginning, but I was speaking about how now we're in the middle of the reparations claim, not the beginning. And the more we get focused and the more we achieve, the more they're going to start coming back at us with interference and diversions and deflections. So as we evolve in this process, they're going to evolve with their anti-black racism. So we're going to be able to counter every single thing they throw, but we can only do it by being focused on code and keeping it black, grassroots, and certified. I got my brother Afro Elite on the stage, brother. I know you got some things to say, family. It's all on you, brother.
Thank you for having me. And I want to piggyback off of what you said, because what you said was very, very important. And I just want to add an element to that. Boycotting, one of the things when it comes to boycotting, when we did that back in the 60s with the Montgomery bus boycott and everything like that, one of the things that Dr. Claude Anderson says is that we had our own black-owned buses, and we just completely boycotted the bus system in general altogether. But what we should have did is we should have took all of that money, took all of our attention, and we should have magnified the finances of the black-owned buses and everything. If one of the reasons why boycotts tend to fail is because the company, especially these big billion-dollar companies, they tend to outlast the people who are boycotting them. So what we need to do, not only boycott, but we also need to find some way of replacing them. The reason why this was a little bit before my time on social media, but the reason why MySpace was essentially canceled was because Facebook came around that time. People wouldn't have left MySpace had Facebook not come in and replaced it. So in order for a boycott to work the way we wanted to, we're going to have to get into the mind frame of, okay, we can't change these people like that. We can boycott them, and simultaneously we need to find a way to replace that company, find a way to replace that business, that restaurant, that store, that service, that whatever the case is. We need to find a way to do that. Otherwise, all they have to do is wait us out, and then eventually we'll be without X service for so long, we'll go back to them. That's what they count on. So what we have to do, and this is why we have to know our history so we can learn from the mistakes, what we have to do is we have to find some way to replace just all together. So instead of just it being boycotted, we just not going back. It's just, yeah, we done with y'all. And that's it. We got our own black-owned Target, black-owned Home Depot, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So we have to implement all of that. That was good, though. That was good.
See, this is why I love having these conversations. I swear, brothers and sisters are so intelligent and so informed. And I can sit here right now and just listen to what both of you brothers have just said right there. And we already got 5 to 6 actual action plans right there, right then and there. That's what I'm talking about. That's a great observation, my brother, because you're right. When they did the Montgomery bus boycotts, first off, brothers and sisters were on code, and you had grown ass black women that was 40, 50 years old walking That's what you call on code. That let me tell you something. When auntie and grandma is in heels and they walking miles to work, brothers and sisters, a lot of them today ain't on code enough to do that. But they was doing that back there. So you had the determination and you had the dedication that a lot of folks don't have now. And then like both of you brothers were just saying right now, they'll sit here with these boycotts and they're not really afraid of them because one, brothers and sisters going to go back to playing or they'll take their money out for a couple of days. I mean, look at the hair salons. You know, we'll protest the hair salon and then folks will show up for a goddamn discount. You know what I mean? And line up down the block and around the corner. You know what I'm saying? You got to be real determined when you do a real genuine boycott, and it's got to be focused precisely. And I believe that the brothers and sisters who can do it, and the beautiful thing about it is that once again, like everything in the community, we don't need 100% of black folks to be on game. We don't. That's why I always say on the Black Alpha Network, I always speak about certified. Yeah, the certified 100. I'm always talking about the certified 100. That's all it takes. Think about it. We got free. It didn't take every last black person to want to get off that plantation. Matter of fact, I'll go as far as say the majority want to stay on the plantation. During Reconstruction, half the brothers and sisters who actually rebuilt the country, those are brothers and sisters who were on code. A lot of them didn't do nothing. During the civil rights era, I know we see the images back then and we think every last black person was power to the people. No, they were not. A lot of them was out there trying to be down with the hippies and trying to go hang out with the feminist movement and do all types of off-coded shit. It is always taken just about 100 certified 100 of black folks, not every last person to really hold things down. And that's what we call today the black grassroots. So everything that we achieve is going to be from us. It's going to be from the lesser. We're the only lineage on the planet Earth that can take a small percentage and get everything done. Everyone else needs the majority. Supremacy, they need damn near every single white person to be on the same page. When you start looking at some of these Erasures and all that, they need almost all of them to be on the page. When it comes to us, oh man, we can get that shit done with 20-30%. That just shows how powerful that 20-30% is. So you apply that same 20-30% that got off the plantation, that reconstructed the country, that got civil rights. That's the same ones who can do the boycott and get reparations. It don't take the whole 100. All it takes is all of us right here. Go ahead, my brother, sir. It's all on you, fam.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Afro Elite was saying, and that is that yeah, it's going to take, if we're going to do the boycott thing, we're also going to have to be effective as entrepreneurs ourselves. Now, being a little older than most of y'all, I remember a time in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, and even into the late 70s, when we had a better chance of getting things done via boycott because we did have enough of a black business community that we had alternative services that we could go to. That sadly, even though television would have you believe that there's a black millionaire on every corner, there isn't. But and would have us believe that there's black entrepreneurship based on the idea that, you know, there's somebody on television dribbling a basketball or acting or singing or whatnot. But the reality is that we're going to have to rebuild our local entrepreneurial communities. We're going to have to be, there's going to have to be more 7-Eleven owners. There's going to have to be more black people getting back into the grocery business and into construction. However we have to do it, we have to do it. Otherwise, a boycott isn't going to be effective because we have no place to go. So to that end, I remember because my family's construction business was one of those casualties, is that we were a moderately successful construction company in the Midwest, but as they decided that black economic empowerment was going to be cut off at the grassroots level, you saw black, because I remember in Ohio and in Georgia or anywhere in the South, all the way up until about 1980, you could go to any town where there was a black majority or a large black population, and you could point to 3 or 4 different black-owned construction companies, and they had contracts a lot of times with the city. You could point to a couple of black car dealerships. You don't see that in this day and age, and that has to make a comeback. Like I say, we have to find a way to be in businesses where we don't have to depend on shopping locally white. or shop locally non-white that isn't black. We have to be able to do that. And when we are able to do that, then we can effectively boycott in a way that will deliver, an effective result. Also, as a side note, from the political standpoint of what we need to do, also, as we make an effective, what is obviously an effective mode of getting our reparations and getting ourselves repositioned as the kind of people that we've always needed to be in this country. One of the residual effects should be that on our way to this success is we need to destroy the Democratic Party. That has to be one of the more important things that we need to do. Is that on our way out, as a show of retaliation for what's been done to us over the decades, especially over the last 50, 60 years, is we have to let the Democrats know that we have to create an extinction level event with that party entirely, no matter what it does to this country. We can't do anything to the Republicans, but the Democrats still need us at least for a little while longer. And while we still have that ability to do it, we need to put them out of their misery. And I'll land right there.
Do you want to jump in on that, Afro?
Yeah. First off, what he was saying is definitely true. Back in the day, we used to have a whole lot of black-owned things that we don't have now. Back in the day, there was a black-owned grocery store. And I'm not talking about like a small mom-and-pop store. There was just black-owned grocery stores. You don't really see that now. There were black-owned movie theaters. You don't really see that now. Like car dealerships. There's a lot of black-owned things that existed 50 plus years ago that you don't really see now. So we're going to have to get into the mind frame of, okay, everything as far as the tire shop, not just the car dealership, but the tire shop, the body mechanics, the candy store, the bakery, all of that stuff. It needs to be just a whole black-owned world where everything is black-owned. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be one or two black-owned businesses and everybody trying to patriotize those two black-owned businesses. Everywhere you go needs to be black-owned, just like the way the Hispanics do it. The Hispanics go buy their groceries from Hispanics, okay? They get their cars done, the car body done by Hispanics. They get their tires from Hispanics. They buy their cars from a Hispanic dealer, you know what I'm saying? Anything they can, definitely go to Hispanic restaurants, daycare, Hispanic, all of that stuff. So we have to get in the mind frame of everything you see, every business you go to needs to be black owned, not just, I'm gonna buy a sandwich from a black owned business, and now I understand that's what we can do now, but we have to get in the mindset of this is the goal. You know what I'm saying? So everything has to be that way. That's the only effective way of making sure we keep our money in the neighborhood. The reason why we can't keep our money in the neighborhood is because people need certain things. And if black people don't own the certain things, how are you going to get gas if there's no black-owned gas station? You got to go to a non-black gas station because your car can't run without gas. So we need black-owned gas stations. Everything has to be black-owned. And as far as the Democratic Party, I fully agree. We have to make an example out of them.
That's the crazy position that we in, and certified foundational Black Americans, is that with all the economic deprivation that they put upon us, we have so much power to cripple almost every single institution in this country. Anytime you are being relied upon as the slave labor or the labor of a country, you can literally swipe the whole ground out from underneath the country. So we have power to go ahead and to cripple any of these institutions, these businesses, these political parties is right then and there. And all it takes is brothers and sisters to be on code. So if you actually observe it, I agree 100%. The Democratic Party, we can get them up out of here ASAP. And I'm going to say this before I toss it to Random and then our brother Sage. One of the things with the Democratic Party where they're in a very, very difficult position, and we spoke about this before on the Black Alpha Network, is that they are trying to bring in illegals to vote for them, but illegals come over here and they vote Republican. So therefore, as the same people they're trying to replace us with as their number one voter block, those people are coming in and not even voting for them. So it's still going to end up having to come back to us. So they could sit here and put all of their time, energy, and effort into bringing in illegals. But those illegals are looking over there at all the Republicans and they want to vote for them. If you look and you understand the type of supremacy that people subscribe to in Latin America, they don't subscribe to the liberal version of supremacy because in their homeland, they practice a Republican style of supremacy. They don't play games with black folks down in Latin America. Okay. They don't say, we're your friend, vote blue no matter who. They don't play that stuff down there. In Latin America, they come here and they want to do overt racism. The covert racism that the Democrats do, Latin people don't subscribe to that shit because when they encounter black folks down there, they just tell them to get the hell out the way. They treat them like dirt. They got the worst clothes, the worst housing, the worst health care, everything. So when you start talking about them trying to replace us as a new voter block, they're running into a lot of issues. I mean, think about it this way. The Democrats give them everything. They give them money. They give them enclaves, stimulus. They give them economic uplifts, assistance. But yet they still come over here and say, man, fuck that. I'm going to still vote for DeSantis. I still vote for Trump. They go and vote for people who actually don't look out for them. But at the end of the day, foundational black Americans vote for people who don't look out for them neither. So you got to understand that when it comes to the Democratic Party, we can easily erase that party ASAP just solely based upon the fact that they still need us. Even when they try to replace us, they still need us. And if we just take away, right now, you take away 3% of their vote. Do you understand that taking away 3% of the Democrats' vote, that will make them lose every single swing election in this country? It doesn't take 50% of them to lose. All it takes is for them to not get voted. And that's why every single time you see an election, what do they tell everybody? They say black folks, they voted less and less for the Democratic Party. Black folks voted less and less again for the Democratic Party. So whenever it comes down to a race and it's a 50-50 race, all it takes is that 3% of us that withdrew from the Democratic Party, and they'll lose every single fucking race that they got. That's the power that we have. So in a crazy way, the same community that they try to economically deprive, the same ones that they try to benign neglect is the same goddamn party that got their fate right in our hands. I'll go ahead and send it to you, Brother Random.
Thanks, sir. I'll try to make this as quick as possible because I wanted to kind of comment on a few things that all three of you guys said. As far as the Democrats and Republicans, I don't vote. I was raised not to vote. My parents are religious, so I just never voted. I don't vote. The whole two-party system thing to me is irrelevant because that's not something I ever took part in. And as I got older, I started to realize that it was a bit of a joke. So I never really paid attention to that. But as far as the Democrats and Republicans destroying the Democrats, I always like to tell or remind people that that's actually irrelevant because if you decide I'm going to pull my vote from the Democrats, I'm not going to vote for them, I'm not going to take part in this, they are just going to change the rules. The Democrat and Republican Party is just an invention that was used not just for black people, but that was used to placate everybody, even poorer whites. So you had the wealthier whites moved over here and they said, look, we need to let these poor people who outnumber us by the millions, we need to give them an option, or we need to give them a system that makes it look like they have a choice. So they vote for this person, they vote for that person. And guess what? I have a choice. I pick this person and I'm in charge of my own destiny. When that's not really the case because the wealthy people own both parties. So they're never going to get rid of that dual party system. Even if we decide to vote or not to vote and destroy the Democrats, they're just going to replace our vote with someone else. So someone earlier said, I think you just said it, that the Hispanics, they come in and they vote Republican. That's anti-black hatred that they have. So they vote Republican because they know the Democrats supposedly they say that they represent us, black people. Hispanics don't like that. So that's why they vote for Republicans. So now Democrats are in the process right now, you're seeing it, of trying to minimize our inclusion in their party. That's why you see in all these Democratic cities, mayors and governors, crimes happen against us, like just what just happened in New York. A black guy gets executed, lynched for no reason, and the Democratic district attorney, the Democratic mayor, they both come out and they kind of basically say, well, he was justified for that. That's been happening for a while now. That's the Democratic Party slowly distancing themselves from us. Once they do that and the Hispanics start to see, oh, well, this isn't a black party, a black and liberal party, then yeah, they'll have no problem voting for Democrat. So we'll withhold our vote, which is something we should do. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I don't vote, and I don't suggest anybody vote. It's a waste of time. But let's say we do withhold our vote, and we think that, well, that's going to get some kind of change. That's not that doesn't matter, because they're never going to get rid of that system. They're going to bring in replacements, which they're doing now. You have Ukrainians coming in, South Americans, Mexicans. They're bringing those people into these democratic cities, and they're working overtime, like you said. They're giving them this, they're giving them that, giving them vouchers, giving them stipends, giving them hotel rooms, giving them phones. I mean, they're doing everything they can to say, look, we need you as our new base, because we're getting rid of those black people. So don't worry about them. So that whole Democrat-Republic thing, I don't even waste my time with that, because that's, to me, that's irrelevant. The boycott thing is the only weapon that we have, because as I said earlier, we can't fight, we can't start a war. We would be wiped out immediately. That's probably something they want us to do. They would wipe us out. Black Americans would be done. We can't fight them. We can't force them to do anything, obviously, because we can't fight them. We have no weapon. We can't bribe them. We know that. The only thing that we can do is cripple them financially. The only real thing, power that American blacks have, which is a substantial power, is our influence. People see the things that we do and they emulate it. They copy it. Everything that we do, they want to dress like us. They want to talk like us, sing like us, rap like us, act like us, wear their hair like us, have their skin tone like ours, have their lips the way that ours are, our figures the way that our women's figures are. Everything that we do and that we make popular, everybody around the globe wants to follow. That's our power. So if we as Black Americans come together and we establish this system where we're not just necessarily boycotting everything, because we can't do that. Like you guys said, we can't do that. We don't have black businesses to fall on. But if you boycott the right businesses, so for instance, you can't get rid of a Target and then look for a black-owned business that will supply those types of products. You're not going to find it. So unfortunately, right now, until we get what we want, which is the payment of that debt that's owed to us, until we get that, we're going to have to just go to non-white businesses, whether they be Korean or whether they be Mexican or whether they be Peruvian or whether they be Jamaican. We're going to have to go to a non-white business, especially avoiding the big ones. Because as I said earlier, the wealthy people that are orchestrating all of this, those people have their hands in all of the big chain stores. Longhorn, if I want to go out and eat, I can't go to a Longhorns. I can't go to a P.F. Chang's. I got to go to a local store. If I want fast food, I can't go to a Burger King. I can't go to a Wendy's. I got to make it myself, or I got to go to a local mom and pop store or something like that, or a small Asian store. I have to avoid those big white chain stores. If I need furniture, I can't go to Macy's. I can't go to, I don't know, these stores that all these people have, the big furniture store, Pier 1 is it, whatever it's called. I can't go, I got to buy it online from Asia. I have to avoid the big white chain stores, because all of these people that are controlling these things, they have their hands in all of these big white chain stores. If we get together and we start pulling our money from those businesses and we just go locally, we just go to non-white business owners, even if you live in an area where you have a bunch of mom and pop stores that are owned by white people, go to those stores as opposed to the bigger chain stores. Because the small mom and pop people, they're pretty much in the same boat we are. They're at a higher level, but the wealthy want to keep them in line too. People that put Eric Adams in office, because you don't know the exact people. But if you look into it, you see a guy that owns a share in the New York Giants, he put money in. People that own the Lowe's Corporation, so they sell Bulova watches, they operate Lowe's theaters. There's somebody else that owns the Estee Lauder, heir to the Estee Lauder Foundation, so they own makeup, Clinique, and all these specialty makeup products that these girls like to buy. All of these big stores and these big products that you see on television, that you see on billboards, all of those people, all of those businesses are owned by this large group of wealthy white people who are controlling pretty much everything that goes on in this country. If we take our money from them, and you can still shop, you just got to go to a local store, a local mom and pop store. Once you take it from those bigger people, that's when we'll start to get the attention that we need. Once the rest of the world,
can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Yeah, let me ask a question. You're saying that we should take the money. Just to clarify, I just want to get your point 100% clear because I don't want to make any assumptions. You're saying we should take the money and shop at, it doesn't matter if they're not black owned, as long as they're not the big, like, billion-dollar corporations, right?
Yes, then the only reason.
So, okay. So if we give our money and we patriotize these non-black businesses, you know, even if they're the local mom and pop stores and all that stuff, what benefit would that be to us? How is that? Because let's be clear, they don't view white people as the big bad guy. So what it's not like your enemy and my enemy are the same enemy. So, like, I want to understand, like, if patriotizing these non-black businesses is gonna affect the white ones, and then they take their money that they got from us and they use that and they spend that with the white ones, like, it's just kind of creating a richer middleman to a degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how that's supposed to, like, you know, what's that?
Well, like one of you said earlier, you were talking about the Hispanics, and you said the Hispanics stop with the Hispanics. They eat Hispanic food. Some of their money is obviously going to go up to them. But like another point one of you brought up earlier, we don't have those businesses in place, and you're not going to get enough black people to stay on code. I'm trying to give a realistic solution. Enough black people aren't.
Hey, brother. Hey,
I'm sorry.
Hey, before you go there, that's why you got to go without. That's why you got to sacrifice. We can't say that, well, since the dominant society takes away the small businesses from us and we got to go to support a non-black person just because. That means if you sit on the goddamn floor.
I agree with you 100% on that. But
hold on. What we got to do in that situation, in that type of situation, if we got the mentality of I'm going to take my money out of the big chain because it's white, but I'm going to go give it to this Korean who's just as anti-black, if not more, or I'm going to go give it to this Arab who's just as anti-black, if not even more, then we need to sit our ass on the ground. That's what we need. Don't go to that gas station. Drive 20 miles to another gas station and walk to a goddamn other gas station to fill up your little gas thing and bring it back to you. This is where sacrifice comes in. We can't have the mentality where we're trying to take shortcuts with the boycott. And that is a shortcut. That's a shortcut where we say we're not going to go to Walmart, but we're going to go to goddamn Karen's Auto Parts. We can't do that because Karen's Auto Parts is just as racist. So therefore, brothers and sisters have to do. That's why I gave the example earlier where during the Montgomery bus boycott, brothers and sisters started walking. That's what you call dedication. You got out the goddamn house and you walk to the store. That's what we have to do. So if you start going, you patronize other businesses that are lesser than Walmart. These other businesses are still selling us poison. These other businesses are still shooting at our children. These other businesses are still regenderifying our neighborhoods. Therefore, what we got to do is to say, you ain't getting the money Walmart and you ain't getting the money Karen's Auto Parts. Neither one of y'all are getting money. No middleman, like Brother Afro was just saying. We can't create a middleman supremacy, because a middleman supremacy is still just a supremacist.
I agree. I agree 100%.
That's my whole question, bro. Because I'm saying, like, if we're not going to, with your plan, if we're not going to keep the money in the community, which is what we're trying to talk about, we're trying to talk about keeping the dollar in the black community. If we don't keep it in the black community, what benefit is it to give it to the Hispanics or Asians before the white people?
The benefit is,
we might have, I mean,
the benefit is. The reason I came up with that plan, I don't want to say like it's my idea, but the reason that came to mind is the benefit is you are punishing the people that have the ability to sign off on the reparations. And when you said earlier
To a
about,
degree,
well,
I actually disagree with that, because to a degree, we're not. Because if we shop with the non-black mom and pop, the Asians and the Hispanics and whatnot, and then they shop with the white people, you know what I'm saying? And instead of the white folks getting our dollar, instead of the big corporations getting our dollar, they're just getting more dollars from the Asians and the Hispanics, you know, then ultimately they're still getting the same amount of money.
we
The
already
only
know
thing
that
that we would be doing with that plan is enriching the buffer class.
we already
That's
know
the
that the Hispanics and the Asians circulate their money within their community. We don't have one to circulate within. That's number one. Number two, I'm just looking at history. You're not going to tell thousands of black mothers that your kid needs this, that, or the third from a school and just don't get it, and they're not going to get it. That's historically failed. That's why these boycotts have failed, because people are just going to be like, look, I need to go get this. And there's no solution. There's no, black society isn't offering this. I have to get it from somewhere. That's why the boycotts in the past have not gone anywhere, because people after a while like, look, I have to get it from somebody. And so the boycott fails because they just run out to the closest store and get it. Let's say we did that. Let's say we did that, right? And we got their attention. Then what? Like, what's the plan after that? Even have to get their attention, so to speak. You will see. So, for example, let's say we all get on board and we say, and enough of us say, you know what, we're not going to shop for Christmas this season. Let's just say that. The beginning of the first quarter in 2024, you're going to start to see people on the news saying it, because they already know what we want. They already see these spaces. You have people in here probably right now.
Okay, here's the flaw in your plan. The flaw in your plan is the fact that they're still going to get the money. They're just not going to be getting the money from us. If we shop at these non-black businesses, these non-black mom and pop stores, and then they go shop at the Walmart and they go shop at the Target, they're still going to be getting money. There's nothing going to be boycotted. We're just enriching a middleman. That's the thing. Because it's not going to be helping us, because we're not keeping the money in our community. So it's not going to be helping us. It's going to be enriching the buffer class, and then they're going to be giving the money to the billion-dollar corporations. So
what would you tell a
that's going to backfire on us. It's not really going to be of benefit. I'm trying to have that clear.
No, I hear what you're saying. What would you tell a parent who you're saying you need to boycott and we need to not purchase these items from anybody, and the parent says, well, my child.
Totally honest, what items? Because there's black-owned diapers you can buy online. There's black-owned pretty much everything. Maybe, you know.
What's the name of the black-owned
It might be inconvenient,
company?
but yeah, there's stuff.
That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make this as realistically and as easy as possible, because we've talked about this in the past, and there are too many products that people just can't seem to get their hands on. They don't know where to get it. The prices are too high, and they just can't afford it. They're not trying to be stingy. They just can't afford it, because our community has been so destabilized. We can't offer everything that these people need. There's things you and I are going to need.
But but I'm saying that's not going to. What you're saying is not going to. I understand the problem, but what you're saying is not going to help, because it's not like the dollar's going to circulate in our community.
So what would you tell? What would be your answer?
No,
when you tell somebody to not,
brother. To go without, to sacrifice, like our brother Alpha said.
And do you honestly believe that you're gonna have? I mean, he gave the example earlier about the beauty salons.
Brother, I am trying to tell you, we can low key, to be honest, as Black society, we can make up with everything that we miss. We can replace ourselves everything that we will go without with non-Black businesses.
So why hasn't it been done all this time? Why hasn't it been done,
brother? Hold on, brother. You are empowering for a more openly racist ethnic group, because let's be real, these Asians and Hispanics are more openly, keyword openly, racist than these billion-dollar corporations are. And they're going to take their money and they're going to shop with these billion-dollar corporations. So the corporations are not losing any money. Okay.
Yeah, yes, they would. They would be losing money.
Brother, listen. And we're enriching the buffer class. So we're not going to be receiving anything except a more open form of racism. So the solution, what I'm trying to say is the solution is, to the greatest degree that we can, we're going to have to sacrifice until we can adequately replace those things.
I'm trying to tell you, I agree with that. I'm not a young person. I've thought about this for decades. And I agree. Yeah, you have to, like you said, go without, just withhold. But over the years, I've seen people
Okay. Let me ask you, since you thought about it, let me ask you this. All right. And I don't want to be too long because we got more people who want to speak. Let's say we did that. Let's say we did that. And the $1 billion, they see that black people aren't shopping with them. Then what?
What do you mean then what? What do we do next?
No, what's going to happen next?
What's going to happen next is you're going to see, like I was trying to say earlier, if let's say, for example, this Christmas season, we all decide.
Brother, no, please, we don't. I get that point, but I'm trying to say, let's say we boycott Christmas, then what? What's next?
You keep cutting me off as I'm getting to the point. So as I was saying, we all get on code and we say, look, we're going to boycott. If we do decide we're not going to go here, we're not going to go there, and these stores are going to lose X amount of money because in the beginning, we're giving our money to these smaller businesses. In the beginning of the next quarter, in the beginning of 2024, you're automatically going to see people coming on the news saying black people need reparations or black people need assistance from police, relief from police. The reason that's going to happen is because behind closed doors, these business owners who are making these decisions for us in the first place are going to say, look, money stopped flowing in the way it has been doing. Every other quarter, we've had this amount of money. This quarter, we didn't get this amount, and we know who's been pulling their money because, like I was trying to say earlier, we have people in all these spaces listening to these people, monitoring these people, and we know these people are pulling their money from us. So we're going to have to placate them somehow. That's where our message starts to get out there, when they start to talk more and more about it. Oh, well, black people, this and that. You're not going to get them to talk about it if there's no consequence. If there is no consequence, then it's just going to keep continuing. And
Brother, to be honest, we don't really need them to talk about it. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody knows about it.
So why don't we have it?
The best way for a boycott is to take sacrifice. The very notion of a boycott is sacrifice. So you say that there's no black businesses. What country do you live in, brother? There are black businesses, and we're on the internet right now. You can get it. I literally just had somebody send me some stuff from Chicago. Okay, and this is a black-owned business. So any person who genuinely wants to boycott any type of institution in the United States of America, and you want to sit down and keep your money in the black community, this is not 1935. This is not 1965. You can find black businesses and have things melt to you personally. Take advantage of the internet. Take advantage of all these businesses that can bring all the items and the goods to you. You speak about these boycotts, but you leave out the very notion that we are interconnected and we can meet brothers and sisters from places that are not where we're from. So when I tell you that we can go and find other businesses and institutions that are black owned, that may not be in our city or in our town, but they may be worldwide or nationwide. Now, how do you feel about boycotting, brother? If you can sit here and say that we do not have the money and the money is going to leave the community, what happens when I give you the notion that not all that money is going to leave the community and we don't have to go give it to Koreans? We can still go give it to brothers and sisters. Do you still want to go give the money to Asians?
If we could give it to our own community, and you can,
I cannot believe it.
I'm sorry.
No, keep going. I'm talking about
if we could give it to our own community, and you could show me proof that, because we've been talking about this since the 90s. Show me proof.
This is not the 90s no more, though. This isn't the 90s. Listen. No. You don't really understand all the way, brother, because that's why I just told you that this is the new era, and this is internet world.
Internet's not new. It's been here since the 90s. The internet, and it's been a big deal since the 2010s.
But it's the 90s was 30 years ago, okay? What it was in 1990 is not what it was in 2023. Okay.
All right, so instead of going back and forth, then I'll just ask, we have all these black businesses and we can go online and get these things. How come we're still in the position that we're in, and how come we aren't doing that now?
One is because we are getting on code. We're getting on code right now, and we are doing it. And that attitude right there is why we have it. That's my answer.
So when you guys mentioned earlier about the black women going into the hair salons, we have black-owned hair salons, yes?
Yes, we do.
And they get patriotized by black women.
Yes,
Yes,
I
we do.
agree.
You know,
So
there's
why do
always
we
there's
have that
gonna be
issue?
we're not gonna have hold on, we're not gonna have 100% of black people on board. You know, we never had 100% of black people on board, but we don't need 100% of 100% of black people ain't gonna be on board with what you talking about either. So, you know, we need our riders and we got them. So that's what it is.
No, I don't want to sound like
Brother, do
I'm
you have
poo-pooing
faith in the
blackness.
black
I'm sorry.
community, family? Do you have faith, or do you think that we just can't get our shit together? Because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you believe that no matter what we do, the white man's is gonna pull out the damn belt and whoop us, and the Asian gonna whoop us, and the Arab gonna whoop us. Do you
I
feel
believe
that
based
we
on
are
history-
incapable of doing this? Because I believe, honestly, brother, I believe this is deeper than just policy or thought process. I believe this is internally, and I think that you don't have a faith in the community to achieve what we're saying. And I believe me and my brother Afro know that the sky ain't even the limit for us. That's what it seems like the fundamental difference is, brother.
I believe based on history that white society will not let us. I don't believe that we can't do it if left to our own devices. I obviously don't believe
But brother,
that.
you gotta understand, but that right there, you just made my point for me. When you say he won't let us, that means that he is powerful up over us. And he's not powerful up over us, because not we wouldn't be here right now.
A 12-year-old boy named Tamir Rice was executed for no reason. That police
Okay,
officer-
listen,
I'm
let's
trying.
not let's
I'm
come
trying.
on.
I'm
First
trying to make
off,
a point. I'm trying to make a point.
brother.
A 12-year-old child was
Brother.
on camera, was executed. The man that did the execution was never punished. Yes, they do
Brother,
have a
okay, that
modicum of
ain't got
power
nothing to do
over
with
us.
boycotting Walmart, man. Let's be real.
What?
Let's be honest. Let's be totally honest. The flaw in your plan is that the end goal does not make sense. Okay, that's the flaw in your plan. It's a Hail Mary plan. If Walmart lost $5 billion, they're not going to say, damn, okay, these niggas are serious. Let's give them reparations. That's not going to happen. I don't know why you think that, okay, if we don't, this one Christmas, don't buy no Christmas trees. Next thing you know, they'll have to, that don't make sense. That's not going to make sense, because it's not like those companies are losing any money.
So why did it work in
So
the
we're
50s?
going to, sir, we're going to circle back to you, because there's been
Okay, all right.
a lot of patient speakers waiting to speak. You know,
Thank you for
so
letting me
we're not going to
speak, but
kick you
I'll go on
off,
mute.
but we're going to circle back to you. Okay.
All right.
All right. I think who was next? I lost track. I think it was Sage, because he was there, and then Sir Major. And then it was Sage next. I'm gonna remember it.
You got me good?
Can you speak up a little bit?
Back first. You got me good? Got me good, brother?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. I'm loving the comedy show today. I would say this to the family. I'm not in the business of enriching other people. Other people do not enrich us. We should not spend our money with other people that are just as hostile as the white supremacists. These people, when they come here, they practice anti-black racism 24/7. Yeah. Sorry about that. They practice anti-black racism 24/7. So what I'm saying, sorry about that, y'all. I'm in between stuff. What I want to say to the brother that was just speaking, you did a lot of we talking. I understand that you're older than us, brother, so I'm gonna show you your respect. But what I'm saying is we're not your generation. No, we're not your generation. So I want you to understand this. What we're doing right now is getting a code together so that we can get our businesses together and handle our business. Right? We're not in this game for, what we haven't done. We're not in this game for, what can't be done. We 100% believe that we can do it. When Martin Luther King was walking around here on these streets, he only had about 15% of black people that was supporting him. And a lot of people told him what he could and could not do. So again, like my brother Afro stated, we don't need the masses of black people to get on code. We don't need that. We just need a strong few of people to get on code. And then we can get things done. You ask, why haven't we done it since the 90s? So you need to ask yourself that, sir. A lot of us in here were not born then. A lot of us in here were too young to do anything. We're working now, sir. As far as, there was something I was mentioned earlier. With these Hispanic people, I live up here in New York amongst a lot of Hispanics. They aggregate their money amongst themselves. And that's good for them. Shout out to them. But we need to do the same. They are black businesses for everything that you need, every household thing that you need. You ask why aren't people doing it? Because they don't want to do it. But again, we don't need 100% of black people to agree. You're never going to get that. We're human just like everyone else. Guess what? 100% of white people are not white supremacists, but they can be. So again, the inverse, 100% of black people are not on code, but they can be. But if they don't, doesn't mean that we're not going to get anything done. And with that, phenomenal.
Thank you. And I totally agree with that. Totally agree. Sir Major, you're next.
Appreciate the space. Shout out to the host, whatever. Check y'all back in right away, both of y'all. I wanted to know what was the position for today. I know that there's a meeting in Chicago today. My boy Grimes was telling me about that. I wanted to find out what's the call to action for that space on that meeting on today.
Well, shout out to, you know what? I got to talk to Grimes because I saw him at the last meeting. We were supposed to meet up at this one. It hasn't started yet. That's actually at 6 o'clock, so it's in a few hours. So I'm going to be there with a couple other people. And the thing is that this is to form a committee. So the committee has not been formed yet. This is pretty much to talk to the Mayor Johnson. Brandon Johnson's the mayor now. So this is to pretty much talk to the mayor and advocate for the creation of the committee. So this is what this is, to get people's opinions, to get the community's opinions to come there and, you know, to advocate to the board, the founders, about creating the committee list or something. It's a bunch of it's a bunch of stuff. It's kind of all over the place, but that's pretty much what it is.
Okay. King Carter, I talked to him late last night as well. He said he'll be there. Is there any way that folks who are not in Chicago can kind of pick up the pieces and kind of do some advocating online, or at least spread the word about what's going on there? Can we stream it or something?
I can try to stream it. Yeah, I can try to do that.
Or they're going to have an official site where they're going to be recording live, the government or whatnot, like the city. We can stream
it might be. I don't think it's going to. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know that. That I don't know.
All right, thanks.
All right. Let me see who else was next. Alpha.
I think our brother John Horse was next.
No. I think it was Callie. She was up here before me.
Go ahead, Callie. It's on you, sister.
Okay. Yes, I just want to talk about strategy in response to what the previous speaker before Sir Major was talking about. So we already discussed we don't have enough leverage to pressure the government to pay these reparations, even if we say don't vote. Or unless you give us tangibles, their response obviously was to just bring in more immigrants and replace the black vote. So that strategy is we have to pivot from that. And then another thing is that we have people who are, like you guys were saying, who we prop up in these organizations who say they're fighting for reparations, but then they're prone to mission drift and just selling us out and not fighting for the people. And we've seen this in real time. So I just want to give my personal strategy and rationale for it. And you can ask questions after. But if you're wondering why I'm sharing this strategy, it's not that I'm doing anything illegal. And then I already published it. It's already out in the public, so it doesn't matter at this point. So to me, one of the strategies would be to build like a blitzkrieg parallel infrastructure as Black Americans that ultimately puts pressure on the government to come to the table with the negotiations, or it will pressure them to implement our infrastructure on the system specifically for Black Americans. So what does blitzkrieg mean? That just means lightning. It means thunder. So a lightning parallel infrastructure means you simply disinvesting out of the system. It's full-blown self-sufficiency, and it's somewhat of what the strike is, but I'm going to explain a little bit more. And like Black Alpha was saying, this is going to require a lot of sacrifice. But I have developed some controls that will allow us to be as comfortable as possible as we do this. So one example of a parallel infrastructure would be to start our own parallel economy, parallel school system, Medicare, medical care, and agriculture. Now, I know you guys were like, okay, you need a cash infusion to do that. How do you do that? I say we do this through a parallel economy by developing a service point system. So this consists of just going back to a tried and true barter economy, but we will update this using our own technology. So one way we would do this is using QR codes that will supply a certain amount of points to certain services, and then the app that will allow you to track the points, allow you to in exchange, you just flash the QR code, and Black Americans, you can go in real time trade services through a barter economy. So I have already found the way to develop the database infrastructure that this can literally be done in 6 months. I also have already laid out the examples of how we would use a service point for our needs, such as getting food, childcare, handyman services, plumbing, carpentry, haircuts, whatever it be, medical care, schooling. So I wrote out how those examples of how Black Americans would do this, and I do plan to just move offline, with this and find the people that just really is serious as hell about this. But we can build the app on a private server, and if it gets shut down, we can just develop a paper version of the point system where you still do this without technology. So the parallel economy allows us to trade and get shit done without money. It will free up our money. Now, as far as parallel education, we already have a 100% Black-owned university for Black Americans that I built. We can build curriculums on it. We can homeschool our own children online or in person. Now, these are just examples. Now, let's say we have an herbalist in a community that is good with naturopathic or chiropractic services. We would develop, this person would be, again, exchanging their service in a point economy of using service-based, or if people have money and they rather just use their cash, they can do that as well. Now, my personal parallel infrastructure is built on a very specific framework. I don't hide that. It's already will go with my plan for whatever reason. They may not like me, as whatever different ideological difference. And to that, I would say, whoever it is that's listening, or whoever will listen, is to develop your own blitzkrieg parallel infrastructure in whatever capacity you see fit, and make sure that you have a blueprint that is preferably evidence-based. And I'll get into what that means. It can be based on whatever empowers you, but it has to be alternative. That should be innovative, should be well thought out, organized, legal, and strategic. Now, another example of the parallel infrastructure is, say, for like we start to get into community gardening, but we combined, again, the service point economy with community gardens. So we're literally taking out the money out of the dominant society's infrastructure. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use the money, but you have an alternative economy. And this will allow you to still pull your money together to do other things that are more critical. For instance, purchasing land. If we're using service point economies for our services, now we can free up the money to start like a community, a trust fund that can earn compound interest on our real money. Also purchase, like I said, purchasing land. So as we build that parallel infrastructure in whatever capacity that you see fit, whether it's my blueprint or your own thing, it puts pressure on the system ultimately. That is your leverage. It undermines the system when you have people checked out and practicing full-blown self-sufficiency. This is going to make the boycotting easier. This is what gets around the issue that Randall was talking about. Like this is the conundrum that he's having. That is the only leverage that will work, is the self-sufficiency. Again, it's going to be a little uncomfortable at first, but we will get there with the service point economy, compounding interest through community trust funds with our real money. And that is when the government will negotiate with us. They would try to bring us back in the fold. And when they do this, that is when we say we require that we always have an apparatus that will always allow us to be self-sufficient, and also they need to build an office of Black America in every state in preparation for paying out reparations for all of us. We need an agency specifically that works for us, just like they got an office in New America for these immigrants. So we set ourselves up to be a power base, and and if they want to negotiate, we would even be willing to act as a liaison on the behalf of protecting America and running this country. But again, only if they service us in ways that allow for us to continue to be self-sufficient with the Office of Black America in every state for reparations. That's the only leverage we have. And in terms of this actually being evidence-based, as far as what I built this off of. I'm sorry.
If you can send me, I'm very interested. If you can send me like an email of that,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
doing
because
the
so
whole book.
we can talk, yeah, because that's a lot, you know. So if you
Sister,
can
you
send me
got
an
that written
email of
down
that, and then we
somewhere?
can like,
I have a book on it. What I'm
oh,
doing now is where
oh,
let me
yeah,
just finish. Let me
okay,
finish. The book is because it's I only put it out just for copyright reasons. But what we're doing is we're covering the book for free on YouTube. So like every chapter is literally being read. The whole blueprint is out, and I also have a package that I'm developing for Black Americans where I'll literally be going door to door. Like, here's the package of how we would get this economy done.
Hey,
And
sister,
okay.
does the book come in series and like a documentary or like a mini series? Because that's a lot of stuff.
again, the book is available, and what we're doing is going on right now. I'm just reading the book out on YouTube, and then we have the package coming out so that Black Americans can study the package in their hands about it. Because for one, they're going to need examples of how the service point economy works. So I give examples of, okay, so like say John wants a haircut and Sally needs furniture services to build chairs out. I show in real time like how that service point economy would work, whether we have money or whether we do it with the app. And I give examples just over and over again about childcare, just different examples of how we do that. It is a structured blueprint. It is called the Queen Mothership, and I know.
Okay. Can you DM me? Can you DM me that information so we can be in touch about that? Because I don't want to.
Can I just tell you about like the Black Panther Party and how
I swear to God, we'll get back to you. But there's so many people who DMing me like, come on, I haven't spoken yet. So yeah, you know, we'll get back to you.
Hey, sister, now, I mean, respect, you know, I'm trying to hear that for my birthday, man. I'm not trying to be a year older by the time you finish, sister. So no offense.
No,
we gotta keep
you're right. You're right.
All right.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, this is just, in my opinion, an idea. One of the main reasons why they do gentrification is to spread us out so that way we can't put together an economic base. You know what I mean? So I think we do have a lot of Black businesses. It's just that they're all spread out. So I think one of the things that we have to do is just pretty much just we just got to bring them all together. If we bring all the Black businesses together, kind of like, like a Chinatown. It's just, if you bring, let's just say, for instance, like a turkey leg cut, Sylvia's, a kitchen and cocktails, you just start to bring all of these other Black businesses together, all in one centralized location in different places throughout the nation. That's, I believe that would be a great way on how we can actually get our economy popping. And then, you don't need like $100 million to start like a small business. People got to realize that for our economy, most of our economy is made up of like small businesses, like 40% of them. 40% of our economy is just small businesses, and even when you look at like a place like a Chinatown or something like that, you might have like one little small business that might bring in like $1 million. But the reason what makes them so fucking powerful is because they have 30 of those small businesses. So 30 small businesses, you know what I'm saying? Each of those businesses bringing $1 million. That's, you do the math. So I believe, that's what it is that we should do. A lot of people talk about moving back down south. That would be, it's cool, but I look at it from an economic standpoint. If we do that, you find any small Black business that you can, and you just bring them together with other Black businesses.
Fam, that's a good point. That's what we were saying. That's what we was exactly saying. This is modern times. Modern times. There's so many things that we can do with the adaptation of technology. The very fact that we having this conversation. I know old boy said about the 90s. You couldn't have these in the somebody tell me where in the 90s these type of conversations was going on. Somebody tell me. They wasn't. This is what we're talking about. The game has changed and technology has changed so many things that we can take advantage of it politically, socially, our dialogue, the way we communicate. It's just completely different. And that plan right there to do this. You know what I'm saying, brother? Like how you just laid it out right there. Honestly, that right there is everything that me and Afro was saying earlier, where we can connect with different Black businesses, different Black businessmen and women, different institutions everywhere. It's not just about your neighborhood no more. This is not 1962. We ain't just out here dealing with each other down the block and around the street. You know what I'm saying? We right here. We can deal with each other right now. Look at everybody on this panel. we right now in this panel, we got Georgia, we got New York, we got Chicago, we got Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole bunch of people from all different areas. What's to stop us from communicating and connecting and networking and politicking with each other to where if you need this, I got that. You need that, I got that. We can vice versa help each other out. So yeah. I'm with you 100%, brother.
And then, you know, you just bring it to wherever you at, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, you know, and then understand, like, our community, we have a lot of problems, you know, so essentially when business owners, that's what they do. They solve problems for the, you know, for whatever it is, you know, that they're doing. They create products that solve problems. So if you know that there's not a gym where you are, and you know that you like to work out, and you got like 5 other friends that like to work out, y'all get y'all credit in order. Y'all, you know, you make sure, you know, you have each of y'all, you know, you have, like you said, it's all about sacrifice. You're going to have to become disciplined to do this. You can't, you know what I'm saying? That means Black people, we just can't, certain stuff we just not going to be able to do. We're not going to be able to just, you know, spend money just to be spending money. Your dollars are soldiers. You know what I'm saying? Your money is a weapon. So you have to weaponize it. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure that, you know, you have cash saved up with each person that you're trying to start a business with, and then make sure that y'all credit is straight. And then y'all can, you know, really start politicking that way. And then you can build whatever it is that you want to build, whether it be restaurants, barbershops, you know, all the way down to like what y'all use in your barbershop. You know what I'm saying? The products that you might use in your gym, are those Black owned? So you get all the way down, the devil's in the details. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, the conversation about, you know, white society not gonna let us do it. Well, you know, we just learned from the past, bro. Remember, you know, the reason why Black Wall Street fell is simple because they didn't have a gun store around them. So that's another thing that we have to focus on too. Make sure that you got the power. You know, you get your protection game up, power tool game up, and I'll land there.
Hey, that's a good fact right there. And the whole white people won't let us do that. Right here on the Black Alpha Network, I dismiss, disqualify, and don't stand by any of those statements, but I'm breathing. So if we walking around here all day long saying what they's not going to let us do and they ain't going to give it to us, it ain't about them giving it to us. It's about us taking it. And they got 2 choices. They going to get that shit up or they going to get it took. So we got to always move with the mentality of it's all ours. I don't give a damn if you 50 years old or if you 5, if it's a damn preschooler. Make sure that you understand you take what they don't want to give, because as soon as we start believing that they're going to give it to us or they won't let us have it or we got to go through them to get anything, you already defeated and you need to sit your ass down because you ain't built for this type of work. If you're going to handle supremacy and you're going to fight this system of anti-blackness, it's all about being prideful. You got to say it with your chest. You got to put your head to the sky and you got to go out and take your own stuff and stake your claim. So I don't have any type of what white folks is going to give me or what it lets me do inside of that shit. No, I wake up every single day just like all my brothers and sisters in here, and we say that I don't give a fuck what they want to give. We're gonna take it and it's gonna come home with us. That's the way we get down. My brother Big Low, I can't see your whole name, family. Big Lowski, it's all on you.
Yeah, Big Lowski, man, appreciate it. And greetings to the host and the co-host. Appreciate y'all having this space. I just wanted to circle back around to the Black owned business aspect. I'm a big proponent of Black owned business. I hold a space Black owned Wednesdays every Wednesday. And I just wanted to say, you know what I'm saying? I sent you some in the back channel too. Afro Elite, it's a couple of products that just regular household items that are owned by not only Black Americans, but also FBA. So we got to do our due diligence also with these companies and make sure they're FBA owned. And if you know what I'm saying, also married to FBA, to a Black person. But I sent you some products, some tissue, detergent, batteries, batteries. Great products that we tested in my spaces, and you know, a couple other folks that bought it too, and I really enjoyed them a lot. So I sent them to you. So if you want to put them up,
Yeah,
you
I see
know,
them.
and share the information, you can. Also, when it comes to home ownership, I feel that's important too. NACA program, the NACA. You don't have to put down payment, so home ownership is important too for gentrification. So. That's all I wanted to add, brother. I appreciate it.
I see him. Thank you for that. And see, that's what I'm saying. You know, we can replace these things if we try hard.
I can't hear you, say something.
Can I be heard? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you good, bro.
Okay. Well, yeah, like that's what I was saying before. There might be discomfort, there might be temporary sacrifice, but we can replace all of these things. It's not like we're going to be destitute without electricity or anything like that unless we get it from other places. We have the capability of replacing all of the things that we're going to be without if we stop shopping at these big corporations. And all of that stuff, like Big Lowski was talking about, is black owned and FBA owned. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be inconvenience, because let's be honest, it's inconvenience to get toilet paper online versus going to the store and getting it the same day. Yeah, it's an inconvenience. Just buy them in bulk. You know what I'm saying? Just buy your laundry detergent, your batteries, whatever the case is, your water bottles, whatever the case is, buy that stuff in bulk. And that the inconvenience, that will be the sacrifice that's necessary. So I'm gonna check these products out. I appreciate you sending them to me.
Who we got next? I think Reg Rock and then our brother Eastside.
Hey, what's up, fam? Peace to the host. Forgive me if this was already said, but as part of whatever overall strategies that we come up with, would it be effective to target certain corporations? For instance, just say we're not going to buy Nike no more for an indefinite amount of time. What would the effectiveness of something like that be in conjunction with our overall strategy? Because, I mean, some people, like the brother said, they just not, if a mother got to buy her kids some sneakers this year for school, don't buy Nike this year and let Nike feel some pain from us. Would that have some effectiveness as part of our overall strategy?
That can work. If we take that money, because the thing is, a mother is not going to sit up there and let their baby go barefoot. That's just not going to happen, you know. So if we take that money and we have a black-owned Nike, or because there are black-owned shoe companies that make black-owned shoes, so if they make them in like baby shoes or whatever the case is, we take that money and we put that there, and Nike goes without, because we spend a lot of money with Nike, a lot of money with Nike. So if we take that money and we, don't spend that with Nike, they will feel pain. And that's what I'm saying. We have to take that and we have to circulate that within our community. That's the way. If boycotting them is not going to work unless we keep that money in our community, So that will definitely be effective. That's a good idea, and that will be effective.
Right.
If we do the second part too.
Right. Yeah, the thing, like the brother said, he got the list with the black-owned businesses. We need that too. So if we do pick a target to give some shock value to some of these corporations, we do have somewhere else to go. And like the other brother did say, I agree with him. Some people just ain't disciplined. But like you said, we're not going to have everybody on board. But that was just a thought. Just pick one target, even for temporary, and let them feel some pain for a while. And if we got to make a list of targets, then go down the list. Just wondering what the effectiveness of that would be. I land right there, and peace to everybody.
Thank you.
Who we got next? Our brother Eastside, I think you there, brother.
Oh man, peace to the family. Peace to the host, peace to the co-host, peace to the room. Since we're talking about boycotting and everything, we might as well be strategic with it. You want to pick targets? Let's find out who's backing these people that's, holding these policies against us. If you want to find out who's backing the Biden, campaigns and all of that stuff, what the Democrats and Republicans alike. Let's just find out who's backing them. Find out if you want to go for big corporation, find out who these big corporations are that's backing these people, and we start there, But like our brother Afro said, we got to find somebody to replace it with, and they might as well be FBA. If we can't do that, then we're not going to be able to circulate that money within our community. But let's also keep in mind while we're doing that, make sure that this community that we're uplifting is, we have to start local, find out what's in the neighborhood. And as we go from the neighborhood, we can start building there. We build our economic, base up, and let's teach each other skills that we can monetize. Everything that we know so far, make sure we can monetize that. We build up our own economic base, and in doing so, we can pick our own grassroots politics. I'll land there for now.
Well, let's have sorry to cut in real quick. Well, let's have a deadline where we're gonna pick a target. However, we're gonna get together and post it for everybody to see. If that sounds good.
Can I say one more thing real quick?
Yeah.
As we know, we are in a war, and then first thing is intelligence gathering. We must analyze it thoroughly. If we're going to do that, we have to know what's what, and we have to have people that knows how to do these types of activities. I'll end there.
Okay. Now, here's what we can do. Because hold on, I'm messing up. I was saying that we have to replace stuff, So I'm putting, Big Lowski sent me this stuff, the Black-owned products, and I'm putting that in the Jumbotron. So we have water bottles, batteries, toilet paper, and what else is this? Dishwashing liquid. Right. So we can start shopping at that now. You know what I'm saying? We can start buying that in bulk. Hold on. Give me a second, y'all.
I got you, brother. I got you, fam. Piggyback over my brother just said right there. We can start doing all of that right now. And I'm not going to say we can start because a lot of brothers and sisters have already been doing this. We've already been networking. I'm always trying to tell people at the Black Alpha Network, don't let nobody tell you we behind the 8 ball or what we need to do. What my brother Dewan B say, we can't be around these what we need to do ass niggas. Okay, because a lot of us is already out here doing it, and they're going to always make you think that we're not making it happen or we behind. None of that. We actually are out here getting it done. Brothers and sisters have made a lot of gains. We've done a lot of things to gain progress, and that's what we're doing. So let's continue to shop. I see our brother put it up in the Jumbo chat or Jumbotron right now. We could all look at it. It's all there and a bunch of other means. So I got Random. You in here, Random? Okay. So now with everything that you've heard, brother, and you've heard all the brothers and sisters sit down and break down a bunch of different means for us to boycott in an effective way without patronizing the buffer class. Has that altered any of your views on your previous idea?
I'll say no, but I wanted to clarify. There's so many people in here. I wanted to clarify what I was saying earlier. I was never saying don't shop with Black people. I'm never saying that. My point is, and you saw another lady came in. She had her idea that was kind of long-winded and kind of all over the place. What I'm trying to say is, if we can find it within our community, of course, buy it from them. That's a given. But if we can't find it, that's the point I was trying to make. If you can't find it, let's say you can't find it in any Black person sells it, you can't find it online, it's not locally within your community, well, and the person is not going to, or they can't go without, well, then that's what I'm saying. Then find some other business that is not connected to these bigger businesses. That was my main point. I would never say, well, don't shop within the FBA community. That would be counterproductive. The point is, if you cannot find it within the main point really is don't give it to these big businesses. That's the main point. Where else you get it from, I prefer you get it from a Black business, but I know that the reality is a lot of things, if not most things, we're not going to be able to find. It's not going to be easy to find, or it may not be affordable. And the goal is to make this a realistic thing where we know we can get enough people on board. Because you have a handful, like you said, a handful of the strong who will say, I'll go without. That's how I felt back in 2010. I'll just go without. Stop shopping, stop buying things, just go without. Over the years, I started to see people not going to do that. You have people that are going to say, I don't want to go without, or people that say, I can't go without. I need this product for what I need, hydrogen peroxide, for example. I can't find it in a Black-owned business. Where do I go? Well, don't go to Walmart. Don't go to Target. Don't go to Rite Aid. Don't go to Dwayne Reed. Go find it from some local drugstore. That was my main point, is to pull the money from the head honchos, these big businesses, because these big businesses are financing all of this stuff. These task force and these committees, They're being financed by these big business owners, and these big business owners have the money to finance that stuff because we're giving it to them. When we go into Target, into Dwayne Reed, into Rite Aid, into Walmart, we're funneling our money to them. They take that extra money and they hire people like Gavin Newsom or Eric Adams. And they fund people like Al Sharpton, or that black religious guy that runs the NAACP in San Francisco. They fund the news organizations that will bring those people on board onto the news channel and spread their message globally that, well, black people don't need reparations. We don't need that. They're funding that stuff, and they're getting that money from us. So the main goal is take your money, take that money or percentage, because they're not getting all of it from us, but take a percentage of that money from them. They'll start to feel that. These other businesses, of course, it's going to make their way back to white businesses, even if you shop within black communities. If you make a black business owner wealthy enough, they're going to go and buy a house somewhere and give their money to Bank of America, a white-owned bank, or some bank. They're going to buy a car from a white-owned car company. They're going to buy their furniture from a white-owned furniture company. So eventually it's always going to get back to them. But we have to, at this point, we have to get on board, and enough of us start to hurt them, or some not even hurt them, because it may not even hurt them, but it'll get their attention. That, oh man, these black people have been talking and now revenue has dropped. Globally, across the board, revenue is starting to drop. Let's find out why. Let's go and see what these people want. Mr. Politician Gavin Newsom, go out and find out what those black people are asking for. Find out, and maybe we'll think about something. So that was my main point. I just wanted to clarify that. And the last, maybe not the last point, if maybe somebody asked me a question, I'll answer. But one of the main things is you guys were saying that saying that white people won't allow it, that we shouldn't be saying that. And I wish I could say, you know what, you're right. We will make our own way. We'll forge our own way. We don't need them. They don't have any control over us. But if that's the case, why are we having a panel right now that's talking about reparations, which means we're trying to get something from them? Either way, we have to go through them and ask them. Unfortunately, they put themselves in this position.
That's not true, brother. That's not true. I've never asked anything from the dominant society. I've never asked them for reparations. I've demanded reparations. I told them cut the motherfucking check and run them tangibles. I've never asked them. One thing about this reparations movement, we've never said please, wish, hope, hand it to me, maybe, if, sort of, kind of. We've never said any of that. I don't think any brothers and sisters in this space have ever asked for reparations. And if you ask for reparations, you're never going to get reparations. We're demanding it. That's the beauty of this whole era. And just because somebody has to give you something or somebody owes you something, that doesn't mean you're pleading for it. And this is where you're kind of lost, family, because if somebody owes me money and I say, hey, you got my money, that's not me begging. That's me giving them an ultimatum. And then if you don't give me what I'm telling you, then you're going to have to deal with me in other areas. So there's no asking about it. And they have no control over us. That is a defeated mentality. Because if you sit here and say that we got to ask them for reparations, then they'll give it to us, or they don't. At the same time, brother, you can apply that logic anywhere. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? And here's the thing. You said, will we even be on this panel? If we went by that logic, will we even be alive right now?
It's even more. All these other businesses are in it against us. So while he's making it seem like we can partner with these other businesses to, I guess, hurt the big corporations or whatever the case is, that's not going to work because their agenda is not going to be our agenda. So if we don't go to Walmart for groceries and we go to Mexicans for groceries and then they do business at Walmart, you're going to see maybe a small drop in sales at first, but ultimately these big corporations are not going to see a significant drop in their revenue enough for us to get the major attention that he's implying. The only way they would see a major drop in revenue is if we kept that money within our own community. We can't rely on another community to keep with the same plan. We can't do that. All right. And two, we're going to be empowering this middleman, these buffer classes that physically harm and abuse black people. We can't forget about Latasha Harlings. We can't forget about all of the black women that get beat up in these hair salons, these Asian nail salons. We can't forget about all of the racism that happens in these stores. Remember George Zimmerman, he was a Hispanic chasing Trayvon Martin because he had some Skittles in a drink, right? We can't empower the enemies, these are the enemy soldiers that we're going to empower to hurt the enemy. That doesn't make sense. That plan doesn't work for many ways. And getting their attention, we're going to get their attention. And then what are we going to have to stand on their attention? We don't have any, just attention is not the thing. We have to get out of this mind frame. We need more attention. We need more attention. If we don't have the finances in the community, if we don't have the economics within the community first, we're not going to have any power to sway anything else. That's why I'm saying the economics within the community, that's the most important thing. Just getting their attention is not going to do anything. So we have their full-blown attention right now. Reparations is being discussed everywhere. We have their attention now. Now what we need is the economic resources to start swaying things the way we want them to be. That's the way it needs to work. And we can't do that relying on the enemy's soldiers and our replacements. We're going to empower our replacements to hurt the enemy. That just doesn't work.
Can I rebut that and then I'll be done? I just wanted to rebut that last thing that you said, if I can.
What last thing?
Where you said that we shouldn't partner with them. I've never said, and I clarified this, I think twice now. I don't know if you guys aren't understanding me or if you don't want to understand me. I never said partner with Hispanics or Asians or other non-whites. I never said that. My point, which I'll state, and this will be the last time, I won't be burdening you guys with this over and over again. My point is, when you pull your money from those big businesses, yes, if you can find the products that you need, or if you want, because most people aren't going to just go without. Unfortunately, I wish they would, but that's the reality. If you can't find the products that you need or want from these big businesses, then you go to a Black-owned business. If you can't find one within the Black community, if that business doesn't exist or that product isn't available by a Black vendor, well, then to the people that are not going to go without it, I'm telling those people, if you're not going to go without it, just don't spend your money with the big businesses. That's all I'm saying. You guys keep saying that I'm telling people to partner with Hispanics and I'm not telling anybody to do that. The point is, just don't spend your money with the big businesses. That's the point.
No, okay. And that's the thing is that it's not going to make a difference.
So we just keep giving them the money?
Brother, okay, that's a straw man argument. I didn't say just keep giving them the money, but ultimately it won't make a difference whether you give the money to an Asian person or a white person, because they're still anti-Black.
That's what I'm asking
That's
you.
the thing. It's not going to empower the way we spend our money is supposed to empower us in our community.
I agree.
If we spend it with anybody who's not anybody outside of the community, it really won't make that much of a difference.
So if
it's not going to make a difference if you spend if you buy a hairbrush in an Asian shop or you buy it at Walmart. It won't make a difference. Because it's not
that's why
going
I'm asking
to be
you
circulated in our community.
I'm asking you then where do I spend that money if I can't find a Black business? What do you tell those people?
Then you don't spend it. That's it. You don't spend it.
And you think that a good number of us are going to do that?
I think enough of us can. I think enough of us will get on code and start doing that and implementing that every day, and until that becomes our everyday routine, until that becomes our life. I think enough of us, if we start now with the businesses that we have in our with the Jumbotron right now and the businesses that we know of, we can start adapting and implying that in our everyday life, and that will become the norm. That's what I think.
So I don't believe that, and I believe that we need the reparations to get to that point. But what I will say is, and this is the last thing, I appreciate you two guys for even having this open. Thank you for everyone for listening, and I'll leave it at that. Thanks a lot, guys.
Before you skirt off, can I address him?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, because you threw a shot at me, and I want to know. You said what I said was all over the place. There's a blueprint published in the book, and I understand I was long-winded. You can't obviously get a whole book out in a Twitter space room, but I want to know what exactly was all over the place, and I want to know what, in terms of your suggestion. Your solution is to boycott. I mean, is to do this boycott and then, go to these local people and spend our money with, we can't find a Black-owned business, we don't have the services or whatever, which again, like these guys are telling you, that's ultimately it's illogical. The money is going to go back to the head honchos, because those communities, for one, they're still going to be able to compete with us and bury us. Then those communities are going to spend that money with the head honchos. So what exactly was all over the place, and why did you feel the need to throw a shot at me like that, and you don't even know me?
I'll apologize. I didn't mean to do that. What I meant is the presentation you were giving, a lot of, well, based on what they were saying in your conversation, they couldn't follow it. And so they were asking, well, do you have this, that, and the third so I can go? Because they couldn't follow it. That's what I meant. I didn't mean that you were didn't have your stuff together. You get on these platforms on the stage and you don't know exactly what points you want to make and the steps that you want to make. So I didn't mean to insult you. That wasn't what I was trying to do. The point I was trying to make is we have a lot of suggestions out there for circulating our money within our community. Another one of the speakers gave a suggestion that you get, if you don't have a gym, for example, you get 5 people together and they get your credit up and then you build the gym. We have a lot of these different scenarios, but those scenarios are, and I'm not talking about yours, I'm talking about a lot of the different ones I've heard. They're convoluted. There's a lot of these different mechanisms in place that you're not going to get this huge number of people who are constantly being divided all the time to just get on board with. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. And over the years, I've seen it that it's just not going to happen. So I wasn't trying to say that yours was all over I'm just saying in general, the solutions that we have are kind of hard to follow because they're very convoluted. The easiest way, in my opinion, which I don't want to give it again, but you asked, the easiest way, in my opinion, is, and this my logic is, wealthy white men and women are funding 90% of the stuff that's happening in this country. They fund it. So the task panel, when we that one great example, because it just happened, we had this task panel in California, a task force, whatever the heck you want to call it, and they're like, reparations, we're fighting for reparations. We want people to come in and give their suggestions and this, and people were all excited. We finally got it. And they give them this, and it's presented to the governor who created the task force to give reparations. And when he gets it, he's like, oh, actually, I didn't mean that. The reason that happened is because wealthy people hire men like Gavin Newsom, and they tell them, go out there and distract those people. Keep them occupied. We're trying to run out the clock. So just give them something to appease them, and hopefully they'll fall for it, which we always do. We always fall for a politician or a task force or a meeting or a panel or a spokesperson or whatever. Let them just run out the clock, because we're not going to be giving them the money, because if we don't give them the money, what are they going to do about it? Nothing. So we're just going to give them this to kind of keep them calm, keep them placated. And that's what is constantly happening, because they're funding it. So my plan is, my idea, this is not a plan, it's an idea, is to take the money away from those people. Show them that, yes, we can't fight you. We can't fund our own. We can't fund our own groups. There's a lot of things we can't do, but what we can do is withhold our money.
Brother.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's get to the next one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going.
All right.
I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry. Was it my turn?
I had to step out, so I kind of lost track. So I'm not sure. Was it? I think it was, right? Did East Sides go? Alpha?
Yeah, East Side has already went. I lost track too. I think it's
So if that's the case, then yeah, it is you.
Okay. Thank you guys for letting me speak, and thank you for holding the space. So I just want to say this, right, because I just hopped into this conversation. I'm already irritated by the fact that a person that is sitting in the space doesn't even have confidence in your own community to have the discernment to be able to spend the dollar that we make in our own communities. I just went out today, right? I wanted to go out and go get my nails done because I'm going to this expo with my husband, right? And instead of me going to a typical Asian place to go, I run around and I searched, and I found 4 Black American owned nail salons just within a 10-mile radius of my home. Okay? And I'm spending my money with the people that are part of this lineage. If they're not part of this lineage, no, I'm not going to spend my money with them. I have trust in my community to know who's going to do me good business and not do me good business. I don't have to spend my money where I don't want to spend my money. And it's important for us to invest in our Black American owned businesses here. It's important to do that because that's how we put ourselves on a map. And it's disrespectful for you to sit up here and come in this room and act as if like we're not intelligent to know who is not who, and where we can and cannot spend our money at. Okay? Everybody else has the right to do it, but when we choose to do it and show our pride and where we're at, it becomes an issue. We're not doing that here. And if you don't have that much confidence in your own community, then you might as well just sign over your part, bro. Because that's hella disrespectful. That's disrespectful for even on both sides of your family who sat up there and spent their time and their money and probably had businesses and stuff like that back in the day. And you just basically shitted on them. So I do have an issue with that. And this is why we're sitting up here and having conversations that we're having now. This is why we're not just trending on Twitter, but we're trending out there in real life. This is why we're fighting and having conversations, because people with that kind of attitude, that divisive behavior, are the same individuals that are ones that are going to keep us from getting to where we need to get. So if you can't even support your own community in the way that we all need to be supported, then you're disrespectful, and I don't like that. And I genuinely have an issue with that. I found not only just within my own area, I found businesses throughout my side of town in Indianapolis for Black American-owned businesses. And those are the only places I go to go get stuff. That's it. That's all. It ain't even up for the debate. Why would I want to do business with somebody who I know that could potentially jit me? Why would I do that? I can go have a conversation with somebody who I can resonate with. You get what I'm saying? And we can talk business. I can learn something from that person because I know that person's not going to gatekeep information from me, because that person that is part of the same lineage is going to make sure that other people in their lineage also come up. So you don't want to be a team player, that's fine. Because everybody I know who owns a business owns the property and owns the building, owns everything that is in there. But that's all I had to say. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day. I'm about to go meditate because that really just pissed me off.
Hey, respect and salute to you, sister. Let me say this real quick. Black Alpha, you got two types of people. You got certifieds and you got counterfeits, okay? The certifieds, we understand that we're going to get whatever we want and we're going to take it however we please and however we choose. Counterfeits, they kind of more dismissive, defeated, sit back, and as our sister said, they sit on the sideline. They ain't got no hope. They ain't got no wish. They out here, like my brother Afro said, they throwing Hail Marys. We ain't throwing Hail Marys. We going straight for it, game-winning shot. The difference is that we're not asking for reparations. We're not begging for them. We're not praying for them. All get along. Fuck that. All right, we out here and we're going to go get them. Reparations is to be taken, not to be handed to you. And the energy amongst all of us right here in this space and all of my certified foundational Black Americans, we got the attitude of demanding. Run the tangibles, cut the check. That's way different than please, master, let me have it. If you want some please, master, let me have it, you got to sit down. If you want to patronize all of the immigrants in the buffer class, whether you know you're saying that or not, you're patronizing white supremacy.
Are you there? I think he broke up a little bit. We'll get to Afro Bubble. You got it.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so love and peace to the space, to the family, to Black Alpha, Alpha Elite. Actually, I didn't know I hit my mic. I didn't know I requested. So this is kind of impromptu, but I just want to say, yeah, reparations right down now for real. We can't give into defeatist thinking because we all had such high hopes for what Gavin Newsom might do in California. He still may do something else. I mean, he flipped one way, he flopped, he may flip back. So we can't put all our hopes and dreams in white men and white politicians and what they may or may not do for us. We got to push forward, period. We have procedures going forward in Chicago and in Detroit and in a lot of other states. We need to be watching and make sure that the wording is right on what they're doing. Make sure they're not trying to crowbar nobody else into our ish. you know, and just do our due diligence. That's bottom line. Keep pushing. We can work. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do barter systems with each other. We can build politically with each other. We can do the state migration. We can do several things at one time. But we just got to stay pro-black and pro-black American only, FBA. Our lineage, freedmen, Negro, whatever, those of us who are descendants of slaves in this country, we got to stay together, whatever we do, and keep pushing the line. And don't look at the people that everybody not going to go. Everybody not going to go with us. Everybody can't think the way that we think right now. We have to do something and win, and then we bring them along. The doubt starts to clear up when they see things. So those of us that know we got it, know we can do whatever we put our mind to, know we are mighty people, know we are the bomb, we get what we say, period. Once we stay together and get the doubters and the Fugazi folk out our mix, we can accomplish anything, and we have. We're still here, and look at our history. Look at who we come from, the kind of people we come from, what we made of, right? So we just got to keep ourselves in that mind frame of who we are. American history and American culture is Black culture. It's our culture. They don't have nothing without us. They don't have all these inventions and things. They would be in like a third world country if it wasn't for us and what we have put here. We can't forget who we are, you guys. We can't forget who we are and what we can do. We can do anything we put our mind to. We got this big expo coming up. You know what I'm saying? That is the brainchild of one person. Look at all of us in this room. There are over 100 people in this room. All of us can have a brainchild, and when we get that brainchild, we'll all get behind it. We're going to have people say, it's not going to work. I don't know. We're going to have those, but just don't, love on them anyway, they family, but just, we gonna show you better than we can tell you. And I'll land.
All right, who's next? I think Baby Sis was next. Yeah, Baby Sis, and then we're going to go to BW.
Peace and reparations, family. Should have happened 2 fucking seconds ago. Shout out to the hosts and the co-hosts. Thank you for having this space. I guess lazy recognized as lazy because it's random. Couldn't even Google if there was a car dealership that was, one of us, or for him to even say that he's not looking for a car and then to reference it by saying not a used car, you already have a defeatist type of attitude. See, to me, if you can come into a space like this and speak that babble in front of us, what the fuck do you say when we're not around? Saying, they're lazy, that they can't do this, or, they're never going to get ahead. You wouldn't go to bat for us if you knew how to, because you're showing it right now. We don't know what type of things that you would say around our fucking oppressors, because you can't even get it right here. I'm going to get to a point. When we think about our lineage, I think about me being my age and my ancestors being my age, what the fuck they went through, all the shit that they went through. That to me invokes their silence, that they had to be made to shut up and shit. See, that's where I draw my strength from. Ain't no fucking way somebody gonna tell me that my ancestors do not deserve what the fuck we're demanding. If you go into a store and the shit is really high priced, right? You can either buy it and grumble, fuck, this is a can of corn, should be like 87 cents. It's $2 in those neighborhood stores. You tell those motherfuckers, I'm not buying this shit. Either you lower your price or I'm not buying this shit. Guess what's going to happen? Either that can going to stay on that shelf or they're going to lower the fucking prices. When you're talking about how we should go to these mom and pops, look, hey, they are afraid of us. They got a hate bill. If you are going to patron them, tell these motherfuckers, look, when I buy my gas, I'm going to put my credit card or cash in a black man's hand. You can hire somebody. That in itself would put money back to us. If you're going to go, tell them, hey, you need to start hiring black people. And for some unknown reason, I don't understand why you just cannot connect the dots. If you buy a hamburger, buns, cheese, whatever the fuck you need from a black-owned grocery store, we won't need Wendy's. And if you think about it, McDonald's or any of that bullshit, why would you want to spend your money where you don't even see what the fuck they doing behind that little glass and they don't like us anyway? So we just gonna keep patroning these motherfuckers? Cook your own damn burgers. Shit ain't that hard. Plus you'll be buying black-owned buns. You see what I'm saying? You see how this sort of, connects the dot? I have no idea why in the world you would even think to negatively shoot down everything that we are trying to express to you. It's almost as if you really don't want to come to a Jesus moment. It's almost as if you refuse to say, oh, fuck, okay, I got caught tripping. If you want to spend money at these Asian stores, please tell them to hire black people. At least that money will go into their pockets for their salary. But that makes no sense. Where do you think they're buying all their wholesale products from? We can't go to them. It's just moving one piece out the other. You really need to sit down and have a come to Jesus moment, because what you're saying is very detrimental. And if you can say this in front of us, only God knows what you don't rebuttal when you're out in the fucking real world. If I was your ancestors, I'd be like, this motherfucker down there, he tripping. Because I know my ancestors are like, who the fuck is this? Is that your boy? Because he tripping. Please stop being negative. We don't need that shit. We don't need that shit coming from our mouth. Just shut up. I land my plane.
Hey, host, can I just say one thing? I just put in the Jumbotron, FBA-owned car company, electric car company out of Detroit, already in production. And it's very nice cars, too, for a very nice price. Out of Detroit, already in production.
New York phone hating on my Georgia, brother. You see how that shit go? That's crazy. But no, hey, what I was saying, family, is that is a cop-out, and people always try to use that on us because they know 100% of us aren't going to always be on code. So anytime you want us to not do something, just say, well, not all of us are going to do it. Well, no shit. Of course that's the case. And like we were saying earlier, Afro, what we say this, like in the first 30 minutes of the space, we said not all black people were on code during slavery. Not all black people were on code during Reconstruction, the Civil Rights era. And right now, we don't need everybody to be on code. And anytime somebody comes around and they start speaking that we all need to be on code stuff or we just can't do it, that's just somebody trying to run interference. That's somebody trying to stop you from doing it because they really deep down inside, they know that all it takes is 30 to 40% of us to get it done. So therefore, they try to stop that 30 and 40% by saying, well, not all 110% of us is going to make it happen. So that's bullshit. And us in the certified black grassroots, we understand that. And we make sure that we don't need every single last person to have one agenda. As long as we got it, we good. So if you look at the reparations movement right now, it's the black grassroots. And to be honest with you, the majority has always followed the minority in our community. So if the minority of us wants to actually get things done, then everybody else is going to follow suit. The reason why everybody's speaking about reparations, speaking about tangibles, talking about canceling the Democratic Party, that's not coming from the mass majority of black folks. That's coming from us in the 30, 40%. So that's all it takes. So when these people come around and they say, well, not all of us is going to do it, that's just somebody who deep down inside, they don't want to do it they goddamn self.
The bar, when we raise the bar, everybody else has to meet us where we raise that bar to. We don't say, okay, well, the bar is in hell for you, so let's bring ourselves down to hell because that's where you are. No, that's not what we do. That's not what leaders, and not saying I'm a leader, but that's not what leadership is about and leading a movement is about. So I really am glad that we're not having, or for the most part, we're not having that mentality anymore. And I would really want the people listening to get rid of that mentality that we need millions and millions of people all across America. No, we don't. We need the people here in this space to start something and do something and to start that chain reaction.
You a leader, bro.
I don't know about all that. I'm not no leader. I don't know about that. Who's next though? I thought Sage was back. What happened? Oh, okay. I guess BW.
Oh, okay. I do want to say that everybody's not going to be on code. I don't know if y'all misunderstood. I just think a lot of us are not on code. And when people say people don't do it, I do things every day talking to people. I don't know what else I can do because I've been trying to get somebody to organize stuff here. And I live in Michigan, right? Nobody seemed to be motivated, right? So I really talk to everybody I encounter or I'm around, and I talk about issues and things that we can do. But some people just don't seem to be interested. So that's why the things I say what I say, because my experience. I don't listen. I come on Twitter because I want to know what's going on. But when you get out into reality, everybody, at least from my experience, you talk about things, okay, they say, yeah, okay, they'll talk a little stuff, but they don't really want to get deep or want to really get involved in anything. So that's my experience. And I know a lot of our people is not going to be on code. I understand that because everybody's not going to be able to pull things off. Because everything I do, mainly I do alone. Because you can't get a lot of people to do what you want to do, or you do some of the things you want to do. And I'm good with that. But I was trying to motivate other people to do something. When I get to my family, like I went to my family reunion, I pass out flyers. I do everything I can do to help people to get their mind and to get it going. Because a lot of us have defeated mindset thinking we're not going to get reparations. I know we're going to get reparations because I believe it. But we got to get the people who's willing to step forward. We got to get them on board. That's all I'm saying.
Stay strong, sis.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that mentality at all. I just tell black folks to always remember this. Focusing on who's not coming is a waste of time, energy, and effort. We all understand throughout our history, some folks is going to come and some ain't. It's like if you was going to go handle some type of situation in your personal life, are you worried about who ain't coming or you worried about who rocking with you? So we got to just focus on who riding with us. And at the end of the day, that's all we need. And historically, it's been proven that as long as we got that certified 100, we good to go. So worrying about, whoever just sat down and stayed on the sideline or said we wasn't going to be able to do it, worrying about them, all that's doing is serving as a distraction and it's taken away from the ultimate goal. So when it comes to reparations, I don't know about anybody else, but when it comes to reparations, I'm only concerned with the folks who want reparations, who are focused on reparations, and who are trying to get reparations. Anybody else who's running interference or have a defeated mentality or feel that we too lazy, those type of people don't even cross my mind for 1 second, because it's all about those who want to be here. And it's proven that when certified brothers and sisters show up and want to be here and put in the work, then the work is done. And those who sit back, either they follow us or they fall to the wayside. And that's basically where we at right now in this movement. I'm going to ask you a question, Brother Afro. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, family. I got a question for you, brother. In terms of reparations right now in this movement, me and you've had this discussion offline or whatnot. In terms of reparations, family, in this era, this generation and all that, what are some of the main things that you've seen in terms of actually achieving reparations that we've done in the last 5 years that did not happen in the last 50? And I think that'll give a good example of we are on point and we are handling our business.
Okay. Well, some of the things that I've seen is definitely delineation. Okay. And delineation, not just from the diaspora, but delineation from all other quote unquote people of color, because years ago it was black and brown and black and Asian and black and Native American, and every non-black person and every non-white person who's ever had a bad day, they need something too. And every non-black person, we have the mentality previous that every non-black person, we're all in this one thing together and we all had a common enemy and a common goal, and we're all going to work together and hold this multicolored cultural hands and all that stuff. And we've abandoned that. Okay. And so much so, we're circling our wagon so much so, we've abandoned that for the most part with the diaspora. As far as reparations, what I'm saying, we can have much love for our, family, our distant family in the diaspora, but they don't get reparations. You know, I know people from Nigeria. I know people from Jamaica. They cool, they solid, they great people. They won't get reparations. I wouldn't have not mine. They can get their own, but not ours. So with the delineation of and understanding that these reparations are specifically for us and tightening our own ship, you know, circling the wagon with the delineation, that's a very important aspect of that. Another important aspect of that is we're starting to gain knowledge of self, which is really the fundamental part of empowering yourself in the community. You have to gain knowledge of yourself. So when we used to think that we're lost people, we're these quote unquote akatas from the diaspora, you know, we're the lost people of the diaspora, you know what I'm saying? And we need to go back to Africa. There was a point in time in our history where we thought that was the solution. Now that we're understanding that, no, this is our country, this is our home, we have just as much, in fact, more of a right to be here than anybody else. Nobody should tell us to leave. Nobody should tell us to go back anywhere. There is no place for us to go back to because this is our country. And we're starting to understand the history of our country, the rich history of us in this country. We're not saying, Mansa Musa 405 years ago was the richest. We're not doing all of that anymore. We're not talking about we was kings and queens in Africa anymore. We're talking about we were millionaires in America. We were millionaires in California, in New York, or wherever the case is. So when it comes to the delineation, when it comes to the knowledge of self and the enrichment of our culture and history, this is an important combination of things that have fueled us in the reparations movement. On top of, you can argue social media as well too, so we can converse with each other from around the nation. We can have conversations, we can spread information and knowledge and network and things like that. So those are factors that have put us in this situation today.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I ask everybody this all the time. Tell me one time that foundational Black Americans have ever lost when we were on code. The code is undefeated. So when people come around and they start talking about how we can't get it and we needs to try harder or we ain't doing it the right way, that's false, because every time we've been on code, we done got what we deserve. And that's what you see right now. We're on that path right now. And you're going to see people pop out the woodwork left and right, like Dr. Claude Anderson always speaks about. There's going to be folks showing up that you never heard of. There's going to be folks showing up that try to run the pivot on you and try to let everybody think that foundational Black Americans aren't going to get what's ours, but it isn't going to happen because we're on code. The code is undefeated. You got to understand. This is what I was telling old boy earlier today. I said at the end of the day, we would not even be here if us being on code wasn't effective. Trust me, if our code wasn't strong, if we were not strong people, if we were not an undefeated lineage, heritage, and culture, none of us would be here right now. The very fact that we are getting up every single day, having these conversations, putting out this foundational Black American certified energy lets you know that we are a problem. And that's what it always is. We are walking excellence. Every last one of us, everybody in this space. When dude came in here and he was talking this stuff, no offense to your homeboy, but you notice the certified brothers got on him. And then right after that, the certified sisters got on him. He got the work from both sides. And that's how we operate. That's how we function. And that's how we conduct ourselves. And that's the same type of energy we're bringing along in this era. Reparations, regulation, and separation. That's what we've been about. We've been separating from folks who do not deserve to be here. We've been regulating them same folks. And at the end, we're going to get that check. And like we said, we're not asking for it. We're not praying for it. We're not hoping for it. I ain't seen nobody in this space ever pray for reparations. I ain't seen nobody say they wish for reparations. I ain't seen nobody sit here and say, could you please give it to me, boss? I ain't seen none of that. I seen cut the check, run them tangibles. That's it. It's plain and simple. And like Brother Malcolm X said, make it plain. I know my brother Afro Lee gonna ride. I know my brother Dewan B gonna ride. I know my brother Sage gonna ride. I see my sister Dark and Lovely. I know she gonna ride. Everybody, I see my brother Woods. I know he gonna ride. That type of energy right here is what it's all about. And if somebody's not on that same type of energy, you too, Jeff Will, I know you're going to ride too. FBA Empress, I know you're going to ride. Melanated Minds, I know you're going to ride. Everybody, I see y'all all. I know we all going to ride. And if I got all of us right here in the same place, at the same time, in the same generation, then we know getting our reparations is inevitable. Anybody with any other mentality or mindset quite frankly, is non-consequential. We don't give a damn. Do what you do over there in the defeated world. We're going to do what we do right here at the boss's table in the winner circle. And our boss's table in winner circle ends with them cutting that check and us counting so much money that they're going to have to do a replay. Red Rock, it's on you.
First of all, Black Alpha, you skipped me. I'm gonna ride too. But
you gonna ride, brother. I know you gonna ride.
But I just wanted to say as a suggestion, Afro Elite got on this page, keep that 1 minute and 30-second video of Martin Luther King saying we coming to get our check. At first, I was surprised why a lot of people I play that too never heard it. But then again, I didn't hear it to the 2000s, and he been dead since 67, 68. So keep that on the ready for people, because you kind of get why they might have been rejecting Malcolm. They might have been rejecting Elijah just because of the religious teachings that we got as slaves. But ain't no reason for nobody to be rejecting Martin Luther King. And I'm going to end with that. Good evening, everybody. Love everybody. Peace, love, and reparations.
Much respect to you, brother. And I know you're going to ride, family. Brother Afro, we spoke about this all the time. Can you tell everybody, as the conversations me and you done had, about how we reclaimed Martin Luther King's legacy and we took it away from the I Have a Dream, the white and Luther King, the token Luther King that they created? Can you talk about how impactful it has been since we reclaimed our brother and how we've used that to fuel our reparations movement?
Sorry, that's been very impactful. So I'm getting ready for this this thing later on tonight, so that's why I'm moving around. But that's been very impactful because they've used that. They know for a fact that Dr. King actually has a very rich culture to us. He matters to us, and he always has and always will, and that's justified. Okay, he deserves that for all of the sacrifices that he's done for his people, and really for the world, but specifically for his people, right? So after killing him, after murdering him in the hospital, actually not the shot. The shot is not actually what killed him. He died in the hospital, right? But they used that to pacify. They used the love that he had. They magnified that as if, you know, they actually cared about him. And they used that to pacify black people, right? But the impact of that is the fact that they used him, and they are out of all of the civil rights icons that, you know, we get our quotes from, that we get our knowledge from, out of all of the master teachers, they made Dr. King have the statue. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, they would never have a statue of her. They never had a statue of Malcolm. They never had a statue of Huey Newton, Fred Hampton, Elijah Muhammad. They never had a statue of any of those people, right? They never had a statue of those people, but they have a statue of Dr. King because they know, okay, we can't suppress their emotion. We can't suppress their righteous movement in anger, but we can misdirect it. We can redirect it. So they made Dr. King the sole person, the sole leader of the civil rights movement, the sole leader of civil rights himself, to redirect our energy. So instead of abandoning Dr. King, which is something we shouldn't have done, instead of doing that, all we did is unlift the veil of the true Dr. King and said, okay, this is who you guys have the statues of. This is who you guys have the holiday of. This is who you guys say was the greatest civil rights leader of all time. So let's just tell the truth about it. The greatest civil rights leader of all time said that we're coming to Washington to get our check. And that really shut everything down because they don't have anybody else they can redirect the movement to. They put all of their eggs in the basket of Dr. King wanted black people and white people to get along. They put all of their eggs in that basket. And all we did is we cut a hole in the basket, and that's it.
Did y'all notice that they didn't talk about Martin Luther King that much this year? Once a lot of people know that he said we coming to get our check.
Family, every year for the last 3 to 4 years, they quit talking about Martin Luther King less and less and less. It's like he's almost went away. So you damn right, family. And this year was like the least. You notice they don't use MLK quotes on us no more whenever they harm us. Remember, they used to harm us and be like, well, what would MLK do? You know, they don't do that no more. They don't do that no more. And I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it a billion times on the Black Alpha Network. Our success don't look like nobody else's success because we ain't everybody else. Foundational Black Americans, we do things different than everybody. We in our own lane. We on our own path. We can't sit back and be like, well, that group did it, or that group over there did it, or that group down the street around the corner did it. Fuck them. We do it our way. So our success looks different. So if you're trying to find any type of gains or any type of progress by comparing it to someone else, a tether group or a buffer class or whoever the hell, that shit ain't gonna work. We get our success exactly how you just said it, brother. The people that they try to use against us, we decline every year how many times they can use that against us. When they try to say people of color, that shit don't work no more. There used to be a time if you got a bunch of Black Americans in one space and people came in and said African American, people would cheer and clap for them. Let somebody come in this space right now and say, as a person of color, what we gonna do? It ain't gonna be good. It ain't gonna be good. They're gonna get ran completely out of here the same way we would do the same thing in real life. So the minority, the people of color, the Black and brown, no religion, all of those terms, you do not hear them anymore. And even if somebody uses those terms, we end up exposing and canceling their asses ASAP. That's the difference between then and now. So I don't let nobody, I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care what group you affiliated with, political party, institution, or business. Foundational Black Americans have been on game, and I don't let nobody tell us less. I seen this era, and I seen the eras before. I was telling my brother Dewan B and our sister Just Eve the other day, we went from the yes we can era to the hell to the nah era. The hell to the nah era is completely different. This is an era that we are in command and we are in full control. So therefore, we may see progress, and it may be gradual, it may be step for step, but we actually move it. And when we point to things, we're actually pointing to real victories. We ain't pointing to fake victories. They used to talk about the first Black person who wore a goddamn gray shirt on a Thursday afternoon, or the first Black person that was a custodian, or the first Black person who was a janitor. All types of ignorant shit that didn't gain nothing. Now, when we start talking about the first Black, we talking about reparations. We talking about tangibles. That's the first Black that we into. I don't know about nobody else, but we ain't into the first Black Democrat or the first Black senator or whatever the hell. We're into real victories because we understand that that is achievable. And it's only achievable because we are moving as a collective and as a unit. So anybody that says anything other than that is lying, and they can sit their ass down, because we are focused more than ever. You see what we're doing. Everybody is on one page and on one accord. We are what our ancestors dreamed about, and we are what the dominant society had nightmares about.